What is happening out there, rotoscouts baseball fans? Welcome to a Wednesday show. Pretty sure it's Wednesday. Busy week, wacky one with people off on Monday and that early action that was going on for Monday. Ended up covering both of those slates. Weird decision by FanDuel on Monday to go with a 3-game main slate at night instead of that nice, meaty afternoon slate that DraftKings used. That was broken up. We didn't have a show on Monday, and we didn't have a show yesterday. We had projections and coverage at the start of the day for the slate. But as I had mentioned on the show a few times, I was at the U.S. Open yesterday. So it was one day for the season where we were baseline projections. Hopefully you guys were able to succeed with those, help one another out with those lineup confirmations. But missed you guys. Been a couple of days with the weekend thrown into the mix as well. Hopefully you guys are doing well out there. Hopefully the weeks are off to good starts. Great day at the Open yesterday. If you ever get a chance to go, fantastic experience. We go, it's a tradition me and my mom go every year since we were talking about it. I think this is like our 10th, somewhere around there. But it's been a little thing we've done at the end of the summer each of the last few years, and it's just a great day. You get access, depending on what ticket you get access to the grounds. You get to roam around all you want, and there's stuff going on everywhere. If it's the first week, the outlying courts have great matches going on. If it's the second week, which this was, we had quarterfinals tickets. So you get access to the two different stadiums, see major players playing one another late in the tournament. We got to see Alcaraz for the men. We get to see Venus Williams play double. She lost, but she lost to Taylor Townsend, the top-ranked doubles player in the world, an American, which was cool to see. But just seeing one of the greatest to ever do it. And at the Louis Armstrong court, you can just kind of go in, walk down to whatever seat is open rather than having assigned seats. So we were up close. Really cool. But it's just a great day every single year. Highly recommended event. Ricky Lee says, happy Ryan Burger Day. Yeah, ugly pitching slate to get into the baseball of it. Well, I was waiting for a few people to trickle in as we get started here. I was late in announcing the showtime. But before we actually dive in, you'll see scrolling across the bottom of the screen, 50 cents a day for the month of September for football and baseball. Promo code KICKOFF. That's a $15 first month. Hey, Joker's excited about the promo. 33% off the price of a usual month. So check out the promo with that promo code KICKOFF. If you've never, Joker, buddy, enough. I'm trying to talk to the people, okay? Can you go lie down? I'm happy you're excited, but go lie down. Anyway, you guys get it. 50 cents a day, $15 monthly, promo code KICKOFF, all in caps, through the end of this coming Sunday with the start of football season. Might end up extending it. We'll see what goes on. We'll see how many people decide to join. We're looking to pick up a few new people, so spread the word. And if you haven't joined before, join up. Check things out behind the paywall. Every single piece of content is included. Everything that hits the website for every single sport is included. And regular price, always under $1 a day. And now we'll dive in. As we mentioned that, by the way, football content going live tonight. Main slate projections. Initial cut of main slate rankings. At least the stack rankings. And I'll try and get into finishing off all the player rankings. Got to make sure that ranking system that I built is still holding up this is the following year. But at least the Sunday projections are going to be up tonight. We'll also have the projections for tomorrow's game. And there's a Friday night game this week. So that'll be fun. So we'll have that projected as well. I plan on squeezing a show into the day somewhere tomorrow for at least the Thursday game. I would love to do a Thursday quarterbacks and stacks kind of a show where we can talk about the framework of each game, talk about which of the quarterbacks, which kind of drive a lot of what you're doing with those stacks. And then hopefully a shorter than it used to be version of the full game-by-game run-through type show, either Friday or Saturday. Not sure how that's going to land, especially with that Friday game. I might end up doing a single slate show for that one. So keep your eye on the channel. No time like the present to subscribe so you know what's going on. Check out, follow the @rotoscouts Twitter handle as well. I eventually announce everything on that Twitter handle that's going to happen on the YouTube channel. Anyway, there's your pitching board. We have one demonstrable ace up at the top, George Kirby, pitching in a bad ballpark. 10-1 on FanDuel, totally fair. 9,500 on DraftKings. You'll note, no $10,000 pitcher on DraftKings, nobody above Kirby's 95, and that's a pretty fair price for his upside. And then we get into a whole bunch of question marks. Dude, enough. Come on, go lay down. We get into a whole bunch of question marks. Will Warren against a pretty high-quality Astros lineup. Zebby Matthews is a roller coaster. That White Sox lineup is at least frisky. Robbie Ray pitching at Coors Field. Jeffrey Springs, cheap. I think Springs is kind of a wild card against a fairly high strikeout St. Louis lineup. He can miss bats. He's got an 11-something% swinging strike rate. A pretty shaky version of Aaron Nola. Matthew Liberatore against those hard-hitting A's. I don't like this pitching slate. We'll get into the individuals. We'll go through some of it again. Oops. That is not the right tab. Our Vegas board. That Seattle at Tampa game. 460 implied total on the Seattle side. Definitely an interesting spot to consider some bats. Going up against Adrian Hauser, who's entirely gettable. Up and down season, he was pretty good with the White Sox for a stretch. Got traded here to Tampa. He's had 3 shaky ones. Hasn't gotten completely destroyed in those, but a 5-run game and 2 4-run games. The other 2, a 5-run, 4-hit shutout against San Francisco. Struck out 6 in that one. That was his best start in a Rays uniform. So not a great pitching spot for Tampa Bay. Hauser just maybe a dart throw, very cheap against the Mariners lineup that from time to time can get a little bit limited and shut down. Find some strikeout against them, but overall for the season, very, very good and some superstars. And then Kirby, again, just top of the board. Phillies going the other way against, and there is some downside in the Rays. You can see it pulling a 4-run implied total against Kirby and the upside of hitting in that ballpark. A little bit of power on display for the Rays. So it is a slight back and forth, but strongly lean toward Kirby there. Nola looking very gettable in his return to action. He has gone 6 in each of the last 2 starts, which is encouraging. But he gave up 4 earned runs last time out, 2 earned runs to start before that, but they came on 5 hits, 3 runs total, struck out 6, but gave up 2 home runs in that game. Short start in the first one that we won't necessarily hold against him, but he gave up 6 earned runs over the 2 1/3 against Washington, and that isn't pretty. And before he went out, he was giving up some runs throughout. So just a more limited version. I don't know what the depth is really going to look like against a good sequencing, good upside Brewers team. They come in at a 4.59 implied total, 4.60 implied total. The Phils pulling a 4.50 on the other side of that, going up against a gettable Jose Quintana is also very, very interesting. From time to time, Quintana can be pretty good. He had a very strong stretch for 4 or 5 starts in a row before a 6-run game, his last outing against the Diamondbacks. But the Phils, obviously, a lot of upside. The Braves, a lot of good individuals, but it really hasn't come together all that often for us with the Braves all throughout the season. They've been just a shaky team. They're going up against a rock-solid rookie for the Cubs. Cade Horton has been excellent throughout the season. He's keeping them limited at 3.66 implied total. On the other side, his Cubs pulling a 4.43 implied against a pretty gettable Bryce Elder. That said, Elder has had 2 nice starts in a row. 7 innings of 1-run ball against the Phillies at Philly. Pretty good one there. Only 3 strikeouts, but a solid DFS day. Against the Mets, 2 earned runs on 3 hits, struck out 6 in that one. Gave up 2 earned on 1 home run. Not a bad outing over 6 innings at a fair DFS price. So 2 pretty good divisional opponents. He beat pretty handily. But again, we're throwing another very good, very challenging team against a pitcher that we know is not good here. So strongly favor Cubs bats in that matchup. But I think those 2 starts at least display the somewhat usability of a low strikeout pitcher like Elder, at least on DraftKings. Major target on the mound for the Angels, in my opinion. Caden Dana, first off, probably not going to be in the game all that long, but he's had a home run problem in his brief tenure in the show. He's given up a home run in each of his 2 outings this year, only gone 3 in each. But he's given up something like 9 home runs to 81 batters faced in the major leagues. Where is it? Excuse me, it was 7 home runs to 81 batters faced. That is a high ratio. There's a lot of power available for Kansas City. They were bending the home run model. I had to bring it back a little bit and dial it down somewhat to make it a little bit more realistic and put them where, upside numbers for sure showing for KC. Home run pick of the day coming from KC. I like that spot quite a bit, and they're heavily implied at the 5-1-1 implied total in Vegas. Going the other way, somebody mentioned it in chat, Ryan Bergert, extremely popular. I actually land on the other side of that one a little bit. I think it's a little bit fraudulent what we've seen so far in KC. We'll get into it. I think the Angels are an ideal team to throw at Ryan Bergert there. So maybe we attack a little bit of ownership with that one. That said, he is usable in he's been very good since landing in Kansas City, pitching into the 6th inning in each of his starts. The White Sox against the Twins. The Twins showing another team showing a big total. They're going up against a gettable Yoendrys Gomez. He's had short outings, given up a handful of runs in each of his last ones. 5 runs, 4 of them earned in 4 innings against the Yanks, gave up a home run. He did strike out 6 in that game because the Yankees a little bit free swinging, but he also walked 6 in that game because the Yankees also patient and very capable of drawing walks. In this matchup, maybe it falls a little bit more toward him going up against the Twins in that they're not those Yankees bats, but obviously we're considering Twins against before we're going to Yoendrys Gomez there. I don't think there's much upside in the pitcher. And a 3.70 implied total in the other one going up against Zebby Matthews. Zebby's been a bit of a roller coaster as well. He's given up a lot of power in the show, but a very usable starter against a very low-end White Sox lineup. I mentioned Jeffrey Springs. I think there's enough there. He's been yet another roller coaster pitcher. When he's on, though, he can find some strikeouts. He's missing bats regularly, and there are a lot of strikeouts showing in that Cardinals lineup that they rolled out today. So I'm interested in Springs at a fair price on both sites. And the Cardinals bats against 4.29 implied total in an even up game in Vegas with an 8.5. They're at least playable. We know where the talent is with St. Louis. We know how they're just kind of a middle of the board type team on any given slate. Matthew Liberatore is going for them against the Athletics. It is a lower end version of the Athletics lineup that's projected today. We'll see what they end up rolling out, but there's obviously a lot of power there. Liberatore, not a tremendous starter. Every now and again, he can be pretty decent and give you at least a low scoring game in terms of keeping the opponents to a low total, but he's not a big strikeout pitcher in most of his outings. I think he peaked at 5 throughout the season. He's hit 5 a few times. Actually had a couple 6 and 7 strikeout games in April, and then it has not been. He peaked at 8 on May 6th, and since then has not struck out more than 5. He's hit 5 a few times, 4 more regularly, but that's not a high-end strikeout guy, even though there are strikeouts in that Athletics lineup. Yankees at Houston with Will Warren on the mound, definitely a strikeout-capable pitcher. That said, only 3 Ks in each of his last 3 games. Only one of them was shaky. He gave up 5 earned on 7 hits to the Red Sox in an ugly one on the 23rd. But he was strong against the White Sox. Well, capable enough against the White Sox, I should say. 4 unearned runs on 5 hits. Not exactly his fault there. 1 earned run, but 3 runs total over 4 2/3 against the Cardinals, but again, only struck out 3. His last good one was on August 11th. 6 2/3, 2 earned runs, 7 strikeouts. Dangerous spot, showing a little bit of upside. Don't entirely love it with the Astros showing a 4.37 implied total and some good bats there. A lot of discord going on in that Astros locker room right now, though. If you saw Framber Valdez and Salazar getting into it. On the mound for the Astros is Jason Alexander. Last time out against the Yankees on August 10th, he went 6 strong innings against them, held them to 1 hit, no runs. Struck out just 3, walked 3 in that game. So DFS-wise, is a little bit of downside as far as what the ceiling looked like, but a very, very solid start. Not necessarily that strong in most of his outings, but actually found more strikeouts in every start surrounding that one, except for a recent outing against Baltimore, in which he only gave up 2 earned runs, but it came on 8 hits and he only struck out 3. He's given up a little bit of power this season, a stretch of 3 games in a row where he's given up a home run, but he's also pitched into the 6th, held teams under 3 runs or fewer in 6 straight starts. So there's talent there, but there's obvious downside facing the Yanks at a 4.73 implied total. And then we round things out in Coors Field with Robbie Ray against Lemar Marquez. Don't want really to consider Marquez at all, with the Giants pulling nearly a 7 implied total on a lighter overall day as we're getting into the fall, September baseball. Those run totals come down somewhat. No 7-run games on the board, though. The 8.5s, the 9s are healthy enough. So it's not that tragic a day that way. And we can see some solid mid-4s and upper 4s into the 5-run total in KC. So a very popular Giants team that has been not the best run-scoring team, not the biggest hitting team in baseball. I don't know. They're expensive. Maybe people get carried away with them. They're very, very obvious, though, to throw it under Marquez. Coming back the other way, the Rockies maybe a little bit more under the radar at nearly a 5 implied total against Robbie Ray, who bad Robbie Ray showed up big time last time out. 6 earned runs and 4 1/3 against Baltimore at Coors Field. Could definitely melt down here. The other side of Robbie Ray is he could blaze through this team, put up a 10 strikeout day, not have a problem at Coors, and 6 excellent innings, and lead the slate. So I think he's in play. But I think the Rockies' bats against are in play as well. 11.5 run total in the game. There he is right there on the board. 99, 9,000. I think it's fair. Usually we come down anti-Robbie Ray. You can see he's not even pulling a 30-point projection because of the negative that comes with pitching in Coors Field, the shaky nature of him, the walks, the power that's available against him. The Rockies are not the most patient team in terms of drawing those walks, though. They're a free swinging bunch of young hitters who can definitely get exploited for strikeout downside. So would not surprise me at all. I think there is a lot of ceiling on Robbie Ray there. I think it's a fair median, and I think he's got a gigantic basement today as well. Fantastic tournament play. Nothing wrong with going to Robbie Ray today, and you don't usually hear me say it that way. George Kirby up at the top, though. That's definitely the target if you've got the money to spend. 10-1-9-5 against a middle-of-the-road kind of a Rays team, if we're being honest. There's obviously some tremendous upside in some of those bats. It's a favorable hitter's park. There are things working against George Kirby. But talent-wise, it's got to be the top arm on the board if we're taking something away from Aaron Nola. Will Warren, I got to say, I didn't love this when it came up. I think it's okay to leave him there. I was tempted to bring him down artificially a little. I'm concerned. I question the depth of innings, especially if things aren't going entirely his way. We get to a pinch spot, in the 5th, in the 6th, and one of their big bats is coming up. I could see Boone pulling the hook really quickly. 87, 8,000. I think he's very favorably priced, and he is one of the better overall pitchers on the slate. He is one of the guys that comes with more strikeout upside in terms of how he pitches. But the Astros are pretty good at limiting strikeout. So I think that one leans more toward Will Warren's ceiling, if I'm being really honest, just, bias-wise. But I did not influence it. I decided to leave it. So just be a little wary with Will Warren, but I think you're going to get him at a pretty fair ownership, pretty fair pricing. I would play him. Zebby against the White Sox. A lot of upside, a lot of downside. I think 8,200 really, really works on DraftKings, though, given the ceiling. 93 on FanDuel feels a little bit high given the basement, but he's playable against one of the lower-end teams available. Again, Ray could blow past all of those guys in terms of upside. Jeffrey Springs, I've mentioned a couple times already, 77 on FanDuel really makes things work. That made my Yankees and Royal stacks kind of hum. Really like the way those two teams go together, by the way. 73 on DraftKings, even more to the point. That's a nice little piece of upside there. I don't mind going to Jeffrey Springs at all. Shaky pitcher. But given what this slate looks like overall, it's totally fine. And I think there's a little hidden upside. Nola, if he finds form, 86.77 is a great price to find Aaron Nola. Much more so on DK, obviously. That's at worst a very usable SP2 who could come out and spike SP1 upside. As long as he's given us 6, which he did in the last 2 starts, there's nothing to say that Aaron Nola, the old Aaron Nola, couldn't show up tonight. It's just a very good opponent on the other side that you don't necessarily want to tangle with. That's what makes the FanDuel price more shaky. At 77 on DraftKings, I think the opponent is priced in there, even with the shakiness. Liberator, no trust, no faith, no love here, but 71.69 is the correct price for him against that hard-hitting Athletics team. Not a high strikeout pitcher. Can get deep into a ball game, though. So, if all goes well, I don't think those are unreasonable projections. Not a ton of ceiling on that projection, but there's not a lot of ceiling on anybody below him either. Bergert, yes, could find some upside against the Angels lineup, but again, we're going to get into the fly balls that Bergert gives up. The idea that he's probably a little lucky to not be getting pounded for home runs, and that's exactly what that Angels team does well. It's just a collision of factors there that I think, if people are overexcited about that, and the prices are great, 81, 75, it definitely will play. I've seen him projected higher than I have him by a few points. But I think this is the ideal team to go against him. And I don't want to artificially inflate Ryan Bergert on a few okay starts. Jose Quintana, obvious downside, 73, 71, but middle of the board in terms of what the median looks like. Those are fair prices for an SP2 on DraftKings, for a dart throw type pitcher for value on FanDuel on a shaky slate up at the top. So that makes, the nature of all of these guys, honestly, up at the top today, makes these guys more playable on the single starter side. Because you get that value and you get a day where you're not necessarily going to get success up there. Usually we're saying, all right, 1, 2 of these guys is going to crush, and we just got to make that up purely on value. Today, you might just be going against fairly common scoring and just picking off cheaper pricing, lower ownership. So again, going back to Bergert real quick, though, I don't want to bury him because I do think he's got plenty of upside. There are tons of strikeouts in that Angels lineup. I think it's justified that people are talking him up a little bit today. I mostly just want to make everybody aware of the downside of the play. So we'll get into it a little bit more when we get to that game. Cade Horton against the Braves, he's been very good overall. 83, 85 is perfectly fine to go to, but you can see where he lands as, it is still a decent Braves opponent. But I do think he comes with some ceiling on those projections for a fair price. Elder, a lot of downside against the Cubs, but could get through some clean innings if you're desperate. Alexander, again, talented, been breaking off some decent starts, but the Yankees are pushing him down pretty significantly here. I don't love where he's projecting at those prices. That's 7,000s territory. That's 6,000s territory. It really needs to find a monster upside day to pay off at those prices. Yanks are showing plenty against. Adrian Hauser against Seattle. Every now and again you can get that team, but are we really getting so desperate that we need to go to him when so many guys up the board are at better prices? I don't think so. Caden Dane is just a target, in my opinion. Same thing with Joe Andres Gomez, and you're not playing German Marquez here, even at 5,000. I really don't see it. As we get into some game by game, let me grab some lineups here. Mariners is in. Take a moment and hit the like button down there if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. If you scroll a little bit further down into the description of the show, you'll see a link to our free Discord. Don't have to be a subscriber at the site, a subscriber on YouTube, or any of that. Don't have to tell us who you are whatsoever. Just hop in, join the community, come hang out. Be talking a lot of football over the next couple of days in the Discord, I'm sure. All right, we'll grab those lineups when we get to those games. Again, if you weren't here before, promo code running across the bottom of the screen, $15 monthly, 33% off, 50 cents a day gets you access for football and baseball. That's for the month. That's through this weekend. Promo code kickoff. And it essentially gets you the month of September for $15 for both major sports. Football content will be live tonight. Projections, first cut. Rankings, first cut, at least for the stacks. We'll see about the position by position. That if that's not up tonight, it'll be up tomorrow. Single game projections for Thursday and Friday will go up. I might do Thursday and then tomorrow night put Fridays up in place of where Thursdays are, depending on just the real estate available on the site. See how that goes. But we'll have both those games covered. We'll be talking about both those games on a show at some point. Ricky Lee, I wish they priced crap pitchers a lot lower so they are much more playable. Like Marquez at 3,500 today would be an interesting argument. Yeah, I agree. Even if you'd squash them down to that 4,000 they roll out every now and then. I mean, let's see. Can I make any kind of argument for it? Like my entire argument for even making him like on the board kind of playable would basically be based on who he used to be and not who these 102 innings have been. And we're talking about, back in 2022, and we're still only talking about a guy who was mediocre, had the downside of this ballpark all the time, and we were just hoping would be on the Cardinals one day. And like, oh, that'd be a good pitcher. But it was just a sub 20% strikeout rate. He had a 4.02 xFIP against the 5.0 ERA, major positive indicator there. Decent swinging strike rate. A lot of hard hits and exit velo and home runs, but kept the ball down a little effectively and had other, effective seasons back that way. We won't dig too deep on a guy that we're not on yet. But just has been a different guy, has been so vulnerable this year. And there is upside in the Giants lineup. I mean, there are a few Ks there at 22%. There's not that many walks at just 8.6 collectively for this projected version of their lineup. So if you want to try and pick on them a little bit, I think the implied total's telling you not to. I think the ballpark more than makes up for anything that they might lack in those areas. They're not the best scoring team, the hardest hitting team, but this projected lineup that they're rolling out has a collective 107 WRC plus. Good enough. There's a little bit of power through the middle. Just, yeah, even at 5, just doesn't look like we can make much of a case. We'll go back through it, though. 4.60 implied total for the Mariners definitely puts them on the board. Going up against Adrian Hauser here at 78-76. Hauser, again, has found some success this year. Pitching to a 2.85 ERA, for example. That comes with a 16.7% strikeout rate. It comes with a 46.9% hard hit rate, 90 miles an hour of exit velo, but you have to give him credit. That's on just an 8.7 degree average launch, 6.2% barrel rate. So realistically, 1.52% home runs, maybe a little bit lucky, but he has been good at keeping the ball in the yard and inducing, despite allowing a lot of hard hits, a lot of exit velo. But this is a Mariners team that can hit plenty of doubles, extra base hits galore, and even if they're not finding their home run, which they have plenty of guys that can go find it, I just don't love the upside for Hauser. And you can see a lot of that in the 4.44 xFIP. He comes with just an 8.6% swinging strike rate, just a 24.8% CSW. On a light slate, can you throw some darts at 78 as an SP2 on DraftKings? You can, but again, there are a lot of guys projected higher than him at better prices or similar prices. 76 on FanDuel on a day where we're not necessarily, again, getting success from the top of the board. I don't love it. I would want a guy that comes with a little bit more strikeout potential. There are Ks in this lineup, though, 22.6%. So he's not off the board, but he's also not exactly a big part of the board at a sub 20-point projection. George Kirby, on the other hand, 95-10-1, again, leads the slate. 3.94 ERA so far, 3.51 xFIP underneath that. A half a run lower is pretty nice. 24.3% Ks against just a 6.1% walk rate is pretty nice. 11.7% swinging strikes is great. 2.84% home runs. Maybe a little bit light given the extra hard hits, the exit velo so far this year. It's on a medium trajectory. There are a lot of barrels there. It wouldn't have stunned me if you would have been, a point higher or so for home runs approaching danger kind of territory. But he's been realistically around that level in the past. It's just that it's come with weaker premium contact numbers. But overall, Kirby, when he's on, spectacular for strikeout to walk. Excellent run limiter. 3.5 runs is entirely accurate. This is who we expect. 3.63 xFIP 2 years ago, 3.58, 3.51, right on the nose. It's been a little bit higher than his last 2 years of ERA, but it's not exactly a problem. Monster upside going up against a Rays lineup with a 23.6% strikeout total for the projected version. Still don't see a confirmed raise, but realistically, maybe we give them a little bit of an undercut given the bump from Bob Seymour being at 41.7% so far, Carson Williams being at 37.5%. But there are plenty of strikeouts in this lineup overall. Some down here, A couple few up here. Johnny, Chandler Simpson, both realistically very low strikeout. Maybe the first inning they get a few guys on and bend the day against George Kirby a little bit because those guys didn't strike out, managed to collect a couple base hits. Neither of those guys has been overly strong with the walk this year, but there is talent at getting to first base up top and setting the table for the two big home run hitters. So you could see how that first inning would go somewhat against Kirby, potentially. That's where the downside would come from, but once he gets rolling through some of these higher strikeout guys, I think we pick up a lot of scoring pretty quickly with Curbs at the top. Going to the Seattle Bats, Randy Arozarena at the top at a very fair 48-31 across sites. 26 homers, 25 stolen bases. The on base has come down somewhat. He's at 338 now. Seems like the Mariners just lose on base from any of the high quality on base guys they decide to put in the top spot. He was doing a little bit better than that. The same thing happened with JP Crawford, who's plummeted to 353. He's really interesting from the 9 spot of this lineup as a wraparound guy, given that attribute, even though that's a dip of nearly 50%, 50 points of OBP as the season has gone on. When he's at his best, he is a 380, 390 on base guy. So to have that guy hitting 9th at a cheap shortstop price where you can bring him back around ahead of the premium bats makes it super interesting. In that equation, I would probably end up, as much as I do like him, skipping Arozarena there and just taking from Cal down because I want to get fairly cheap Eugenio Suarez in there. That becomes a 48-20 average, which is still expensive because you've got Cal Raleigh, you've got Julio in there. But under 5,000 for a stack that includes both those guys, along with Josh Naylor, Eugenio Suarez, and a not terrible JP Crawford, is a really fair price to attack Adrian Hauser in this ballpark. So I think that's a really strong angle. If you wanted to leave out, let's say, Julio instead of Arozarena, you retain just as much upside, honestly, and you're down to 47-20 a piece, so it's still 48, but a little bit cheaper in the overall. Cal Raleigh at 63-42 has 51 home runs and 14 stolen bases, a 156 WRC plus, neck and neck for MVP right now. Julio at 53-34 is up to 27 homers and 24 home runs now. Surging 264, 316, 463, a 199 ISO that will be above 200 before we're done. Josh Naylor and Suarez have come down in price on this team. 44-46, 32-34 across on FanDuel. Naylor's got 16 homers, 23 steals, a very solid slash line, a 116 WRC plus. Eugenio comes in with 42 home runs, a 304 ISO, one of the best power bats in baseball. 14.2% barrel rate. Jorge Polanco's up to 23 home runs, carrying a 218 ISO, has been hitting the ball hard all season. You get a lot of up and down out of Polanco in terms of the overall performance, but look at the difference in his strikeout rate from the last 2 seasons. 16% this year, down from nearly 30 last year, 25-7, and previous seasons before that, high strikeout. There's been some interesting change with Jorge Polanco, and he's cheap at 38 at second base, 29 with second base eligibility on FanDuel. You guys know we're a fan of Dominic Canzone around here. A lot of barrels, a lot of hard hits. So far, over 213 plate appearances, too. 280, 343, 435. Creating runs 24% better than average by WRC plus, and I feel like it's entirely real. 362 xWOB under the covers tells us I think that he could be a little bit better than this. 7 home runs on all that contact is maybe a slightly off-pace number, but still tremendous for premium contact for power upside against a pitcher who does nothing but allow contact. Love the upside for Canzone. Mitch Garver, power hitting catcher. A lot of barrels and hard hits out of Mitch as well. So far this season, it's only turned into 8 home runs and 253 chances. Another one where the pace is a little bit light there. Just a 131 ISO and a 301 xWOB, I think, are numbers to be even more concerned about. 30% strikeouts, 11% walks, with the walks dipping from the high 12s 2 years ago and the low 12s last year. Shave another point of walk rate off of that. It does have an impact on his on base. It has an impact on his overall quality. But we're not really looking at Mitch Garver for his on base or for the overall, the ongoing throughout the season. All we care about with Mitch Garver, if we're rostering him here, is that cheap DK price where catcher's mandatory. This is if we're skipping Cal Raleigh in a weird version of a Mariner stack or in like your 5th Mariner stack or whatever. You care about that hard hit, that premium contact. It's actually up if we're combining the two factors there, it's up from last year. It's looking more like the guy from a couple years ago. And again, Crawford from the bottom, tons of opportunity. With the Rays, it really is all about the top of the lineup there against a tremendous pitcher. But Chandler Simpson, realistically, very low strikeout, very low walk rate. So he's just going to put a lot of weak contact into play and succeed with his speed, with his extra base, with his just base hit ability, and then finding some bonus upside via stolen bases. He's got 39 in just 355 plate appearances. As a reminder, he stole 100 plus in the minor leagues last year. So as long as he's getting to first base and he has an adequate 324 on base in his rookie season so far, in and out of the lineup a little bit, xWOB is never really going to show much quality for a player like him. ISO is never going to be at all relevant for a player like him. He might never barrel a ball unless it's inside the park. He'll probably never hit a home run, but there is correlated scoring upside. DraftKings still has him at a high 4,900, 3,000 on FanDuel. He's okay. He's playable if you're choosing to attack George Kirby, but that doesn't seem like a great idea. Johnny Diaz has a lot of hard hit, a lot of barrel, 22 home runs, a high quality player across the board, 348 on base, a 124 WRC plus, definitely part of your plans if you're choosing to go after Curbs here. And then you definitely want the two power bats. Brandon Lau from the left side at second base has 28 home runs. Believe that leads all second basemen. He's made 472 plate appearances this year. It's not a peak top end number, but for him, that's good. We want him in the lineup. A lot of times he suffers from injury issues. 13.3% barrels matches Junior Camineto's barrel rate. Caminero in his age 21 season, 40 home runs, 100 ribbies, a 356 xWOB, but more importantly, a 126 WRC plus. I think the kid's pretty real. Awesome season at 5,900, at 3,800. Those are monster prices to throw anybody at George Kirby. So I don't love that. But if you're going to the Rays, you're not leaving Junior Caminero out of it. 8.94 leads the team in the home run model. Josh Lowe, not having a great season. A quality contributor of counting stats when he's going right, but we haven't seen a lot of that this year. 89 WRC plus is an ouch kind of number for him. Jake Mangum just here to, for a little bit of speed. The numbers have plummeted throughout the season. He hasn't been a good run creator, 10 points below average, plays adequate defense, but, meh. Bob Seymour, just a home run hitter, high strikeout, power bat, high strikeout, low walk so far in this show. Maybe a little bit overmatched, has not found a barrel, though he did hit a home run. Monster power and looks the part of a home run hitter, but difficult to envision success against a pitcher like Kirby. Carson Williams, a high upside prospect, one of the higher end prospect shortstops in baseball, hasn't shown us a ton in 32 plate appearances, 85 WRC plus. Hasn't really put good wood on the ball, has been missing a lot at 37.5% strikeouts. More likely a victim here against George Kirby, but somebody you could consider at cheap pricing if you're stacking up Rays. And then Hunter Fiducia, not much of a bat so far at the bottom. George Kirby, Mariners bats, Rays bats, Adrian Hauser, but both of those are bottom of the barrel. What's up, Jake? Yeah, I mentioned it real quick in the run-up, Jake. I was going to save it for when we got to the Astros game. But, yeah, I definitely think that was intentional. It would be shocking if that wasn't intentional with how clear the pitch calls are these days, given pitch com and all of that. Kenny Woodhouse is out there. OMG Lulz. I realized I didn't say hi to everybody beyond the rabbit hole. What's going on? Cujo was the first one in the door, as always. Cujo, 326. Were you here before I scheduled the show? How'd you pull that off? I thought I scheduled the show at like 3:35. I know I announced it late. Anyway, promo code kickoff. $15 first month. 33% off. 50 cents a day. The Phillies, the Brewers, let's see if we got these lineups in. It's Aaron Nola at 77 at 86. Typically, we'd be pretty excited about finding that pitcher at those prices, even against a good Brewers lineup. There would be by the way, I didn't mention, I meant to, anybody playing the 640 slate, Shohei Ohtani scratched from that start on the mound. He is still playing in the lineup as a hitter, but probably not going to be available to you at all, I would imagine, given the way I would think they had him as a pitcher today. Not sure what the story was there, but it's Emmett Sheehan going in that Dodgers game. Just to let anybody know who hadn't seen it yet. So this version of Nola, I think, is at least correctly priced. 77 on DraftKings is probably worth some darts. Even in a shaky season, you can see that Stuff Plus loves the Arsenal still overall. 6.47 ERA, yeah, but a sub 4 xFIP against that. Pretty significant difference there. Still inducing an 11% swinging, 29% CSW. He's just gotten beat up around the edges in his last couple outings in his return, and then a few before he went to the IL in May. But the six innings is really what we're probably looking for as a positive indicator that at least we're getting a bit of a bargain on the opportunity with Aaron Nola here. Well, my question is where's he projected ownership-wise? Kind of a blob of ownership. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's like 7 guys projected between 20% and 35%, let's say. I kind of disagree with who they have at the top, I think. You guys think Robbie Ray will be the highest owned DraftKings pitcher today? I don't know that I think that. It looks like they actually have him highest projected. That would be the difference. I think Kirby takes that mantle. They have him 2. But they have a little separation on Robbie Ray. Either way, Aaron Nola, a couple spots down the board, but kind of part of the big blob of ownership there. So you're looking at more as a price discount on Nola because people are seemingly going to it. And honestly, it depends on how much you want to value that price discount. Very good opponent here with the Brewers. They come in with this projected version of the lineup anyway, a sub 20% strikeout rate. Not exactly problems as far as drawing walks against, but a couple of their better bats do have good walk rates. And there's a lot of upside players in this lineup, especially with the return of Jackson Chourio. That's a, 25-25 type player, or 22-22 type player if he had made all his plate appearances. We're 100 plate appearances shy. 25 was aggressive. I was going to say for the full season, then started amending it midway and just got lost. But that's a really good player to add back into this lineup now. This has been a good sequencing and run creation team throughout the year. Maybe some underlying numbers for power upside going forward. I don't love the idea of just because he's cheap with potentially 25% of the DraftKings field using him. I don't know. I don't know that there's that much baked into that cheap price, given how shaky he's actually been. 4.96% home run rate. Yeah, home runs are wacky, but that's pretty notable. It's come on a lot of premium contact, a lot of fly ball. So even at the cheap prices, visible downside. FanDuel at 86, I think we believe in that lowish end projection for now. On the other side, Jose Quintana, 71, 73, sub 16% strikeouts against nearly a 9% walk. 3.69 ERA feels a little bit lucky. 4.96 xFIP is the number I believe in a lot more, especially given all the premium contact that comes on a pretty fly ballish kind of trajectory. 3.29% home runs feels a little bit low, but I'll give it to him. In seasons past, he's been around that number, 3.07 last year, 1.57 2 years ago, but that was in a half season. 1.18 when he was better back in 2022, was very good that season at a 2.93 RA, but even then had a 3.72 xFIP underneath it. Year before, 3.57, 4.48, or year after, 3.57, 4.48, 3.75, 4.44. So you can see he consistently does come in around this area where he's limiting ERA a little bit better than what xFIP says that he ought to be at. But he's very gettable. He gives up so much contact, let alone some pretty high quality contact. He walks too many. He doesn't strike out enough. He doesn't miss bats at a 6.6% swinging strike rate. Against the high quality Phillies team, it just seems like a spot we want to draw bats against. I will say at 71, he's an okay enough DK SP2 to throw a couple times. 73 on FanDuel, again, on a day where you're saying that the very top of the board, not necessarily guaranteed to find success, puts him more as a throwable dart than it otherwise would, but I still think he's one of the lower end guys in that group. Phillies bats against in a big way. Trey Turner at the top of the projected lineup, having a great year, 14 home runs, 36 stolen bases, a 123 WRC plus, 6,380 does make it expensive up there. Makes him the most expensive shortstop on the DraftKings slate, I believe. 38 on FanDuel. I'm not exactly sure where that drops in, but one of the most expensive for sure. Schwarb's at 46 on FanDuel, one of the higher priced players available, 6,200 on DraftKings. Making things interesting in the overall home run race at 49. He's got a 366 on base percentage to go with that because he's a spectacular 3 true outcomes guy. 332 ISO, a 155 WRC plus. Very few hitters in baseball better for DFS than Kyle Schwarber, but you're paying through the nose for him. And you've got to get some of his correlated teammates here who are also at very high prices up top. You get a lot of price break as soon as you hit the 4 spot with Realmuto, though. Bryce Harper at 56, 39, another high price guy, 23 home runs, 11 stolen bases. Another tremendous year out of Bryce. Even with, maybe a perceived overall power dip, I think 30 home runs 30 plus would be a fair expectation for Bryce Harper given how he hits the ball. So we're off pace by a few, but he's still likely to finish with 25 to 27, let's say. 233 ISO. Monster player at 56 at 39. By comparison to a couple of his teammates, maybe you're getting a slight discount on DraftKings. Braves lineup just came in. And I think you are getting a fair discount at 4,200 on JT Realmuto. To throw that super high quality righty bat at this lefty, that's just a good hitter. 9% barrels, 46.6% hard hits. The barrels are slightly down. The hard hits are up. He's medium strikeout, low walk, so you get a lot of high-quality contact out of him. He's at 11 home runs, just a 137 ISO. The success has been a little up and down. A 264, 322, 400 slash line is fine from a cheap enough catcher. He's got a 330 xWOB under the surface. We should be getting a little bit more. It says on any given day, you could get a monster upside game out of a player like JT Realmuto. Love the upside. Love how he helps with price. You need more help than that from price, though. Alec Boehm, our guy about whom I like to say is the right-handed Vinny Pasquantino. 278, 326, 392. I know you guys are probably sick of me saying that, but it is true. He's very low strikeout. Needs to draw a few more walks, but low walk, low strikeout gives us a lot of available contact. Consistent 40+% hard hits and into the mid-40s the last 2 years. Just needs to improve on that 6.5% barrel rate to capitalize on a little bit more power. This year, only 9 home runs and a 113 ISO. Really disappointing. 168 with 15 homers last year in a pretty strong season. 20 homers 2 years ago. So he is capable in terms of finding a little bit more power upside. And he's a consistent average hitter. He's a good person to have in the heart of the lineup just to keep things churning. Good run creator, and 98 WRC plus so far this season. It's been an up and down year, but a very solid piece in the heart of the lineup for a fair $4,000 price. Nicky Castellanos, Harrison Bader in the outfield, fairly priced at 37 and 34 as well. Edmundo Sosa, you can find a little bit of success with as also. Another guy who puts the ball in play a fair amount of the time. Finds his success via BABIP mostly, 271, 308, 430. Just a 4.4% walk rate. So we're talking about most of his success coming via the base hit. But he's got a 101 WRC plus. Harrison Bader's got a 123. He's been pretty good for the Phils overall. Good throughout the season. It's one of his upside years. 14 home runs, 10 steals, 271, 349, 450 overall. Double-digit barrels. Not a bad guy to be hiding down here at 3,400 if this is where he lands. 29 on FanDuel. Nicky Castellanos hits home runs from time to time. 16 homers, a 152 ISO. Puts him squarely around the average. He's just okay. But he's capable. Another lowish strikeout, low walk rate guy. Against a low strikeout, high contact pitcher. It's exactly the kind of player that can find cheap success. And then if you need a break glass in case of super high pricing emergency guy, Weston Wilson, from the right side at least, has found some barrels in the show. 3 home runs in 78 plate appearances this year with a 157 ISO. 3 home runs in 98 plate appearances that were more successful last year. Had a 205 ISO over that stretch. 284, 347, 489. That's not an uninteresting bat, again, to throw against a guy like Jose Quintana. What's the best we can do if we needed that? We could get there probably with this. Yeah, that's 45-60 a piece. That's a very straightforward way to just get to those top three hitters together. My ideal version of the Philly stack would include all four of those with Real Muto in it. So what can we do there? Not include the DK for one. That's still below 5,000. That's 48-40 a piece. And you get Turner, Schwarber, Harper, Real Muto, and then just Weston Wilson if he's in the lineup. See if Underdog has it yet. That's a really important question what this Phillies lineup actually is. Okay, Shohei's, by the way, I mentioned it before, scratched from his start on the mound, but playing today. He's just sick. He's going to pitch sometime this weekend, they said. So it seems fine. And rookie Sasaki stuff is not what the Dodgers were hoping for after 4 rehab starts. They have no plans to bring him to the major leagues. That kid just does not look good. Go to the Brewers side of things at a 4.60 implied total. I think we can throw them against Aaron Nola here, but there is probably danger in doing that. Again, if Nola finds form, you're talking about a guy who has been over the last 7-8 years one of the best pitchers in baseball. Bill H is here saying, Rocky stack. I don't dislike the idea. Going up against Robbie Ray, a super vulnerable pitcher who has a lot of, let's say, baggage that comes with him in terms of the walks, the power that you can find against. It's just not a good team. It's not a team that's great at capitalizing on those things. But they're at nearly a 5 total, and they're going up against a shaky enough pitcher in the park that benefits everybody. So, yeah, as always, the Rockies are going to be the less considered team in that Coors Field game. If this is what the Brewers roll out, Bryce Turang at the top of the lineup, not bad, 44-35, 17 homers, 22 steals, finding a little bit of power this season to go with his 289, 356, 442. Credit runs 24% better than average. Super interesting. Already mentioned Jackson Chourio back in the lineup, 18 homers on the board, a 204 ISO out of him. He's correctly priced at 35, as is Turang on FanDuel. I feel like both guys underpriced on DraftKings. 44-43 over there? That seems a little generous. 4,400 for William Contreras does as well. 32 on FanDuel, that's a similar kind of number. 17 home runs on the board, a 152 ISO, but carrying a 46.9% hard hit rate, 12.8% walks against just 18% strikeouts for him. It's a very good hitting catcher from a top of a high-end lineup. They're just going, again, against the wild card of Aaron Nola here. Christian Yelich, just a very good overall hitter. Happy to see him back with solid home run total at 27 this year against 15 stolen bases. That's excellent. 350 on base. Creating runs 27% better than average. Love to see him push the ISO over 200. Comes on a lot of barrels, a lot of hard hits. There's no reason to think that he wouldn't. The strikeout rate's still high for him, but it's come with so much quality that we don't really mind. Andrew Vaughn has been a little bit up and down now. It's been a shakier second month with the Brewers than the first one was. But the kid is good. This is a talented baseball player. Since August 16th, a kind of random sample of 68 plate appearances, 183, 265, 200, a 37 WRC plus. No home runs. 13% strikeouts and 8.8% walks looks like him. Everything else has been a little shaky. But a lot of that's results-based. If I included 2 of the 3 games prior to that, he's got 2 home runs, drove in 11, 6 runs batted in, a 63 WRC plus, so we're already climbing pretty quickly. The slash line is still bad, but the low strikeout, low walk holds up. If you go back like another week, you get another 2 home runs, 248, 317, 372. So, I mean, we can nitpick about small samples all we want. This is a kid who in the overall has carried strong barrel and hard hit numbers that he has improved upon year over year each of the last 2 seasons. He's been low strikeout, low walk, so you get a lot of premium contact. And he's, again, improved upon those numbers each of the last 2 seasons. You get him at 3,400, at 2,900. He seems like a no-brainer if you're going to the Brewers. If you're not going to the Brewers, he's just there. If you want to one-off him here and there, that's fine. He's not a priority as a one-off in any way, shape, or form. But he's a cheap one, and he's a capable one. I usually like to get first base as part of one of my stacks, though. Blake Perkins, Sal Frelick, Caleb Durbin, Joey Ortiz going down lineup to pick up a little bit of time. You've got plenty of playability through there. Sal Frelick is probably the best option down there. 360 on base, 10 home runs, 18 stolen bases, was a very solid 118 WRC plus. Good run creator, just kind of lost in the bottom end of the lineup. I'd rather have him hitting 9th than 7th. You get a little bit more correlation, I think, with him going back around to the top of the lineup with his excellent on base skills than you get from the 7 spot. If he's higher up in the lineup, he becomes more interesting, or if he's lower down in the lineup, he becomes more interesting. But he can deliver on that position as well. If you're getting like a mid-board type stack, you want to include him as the last man. A couple of these guys are on base. This is a 298, 360, 411 hitter, and he has hit 10 home runs. He's just not actually a power bat, but he is a guy who can put the ball in play, find an extra base hit here and there. And he's low strikeout, medium walk. Durbin's creator runs 5% better than average this year. He's probably your next man up. 10 home runs, 12 stolen bases. Perkins, up and down performance overall. A little bit of pop in the bat, but it hasn't come with many barrels, and it's come with too many strikeouts so far against not enough walk. Joey Ortiz doesn't really strike out, but when he puts the ball in play, he hasn't found a ton of success. 232, 283, 326, just a .094 ISO. That would be my last man in from the Brewers. I know the Brewers have a higher total, but I'm going to say Phillies bats, Brewers bats, Aaron Nola, Jose Quintana. I would not argue with somebody who had Nola projected a couple points higher than that, by the way. Plenty of upside. Braves, Cubs. I know this Braves lineup is in, as is the Cubs. Mentioned Cade Horton. Rookie's been really good. This is a very realistic option on the mound. It's just the quality of the Braves, even though they've been mostly, unable to fully come together and deliver big games as often as they should with the talent that's in that lineup. Even though they've gotten a lot of underperformance out of guys up and down the lineup throughout the season, I do think it's a high danger spot for Horton. There's plenty of power here for the Braves. There's a resurgent Michael Harris, even though the full numbers for the season don't necessarily show all of the quality he's capable of finding. Some of the numbers around the edges have improved pretty significantly over the last month and change. Marcell Ozuna is always dangerous. Ozzy Albies hitting 3rd is shaky option, but he's improved some of these numbers as well, in recent time. Tremendous up top. So it's not a safe spot for a young kid. He's pitched to just a 20% strikeout rate. He's got a 2.92 ERA, which is shining, but a 4.37 xFIP is something to be concerned about. He's missed bats regularly at an 11.8% swinging strike rate, and there are strikeouts available in this Braves lineup. But he's allowed a 10.4% barrel rate that concerns me against guys like Matt Olson, Ronald Acuna. 40.6% hard hits. It's 2 of those 3 were over our threshold. 0.4 of a mile an hour below the threshold for exit velo. It comes on a fly ball trajectory, just 2.2% home runs. I think that number could be changed by this Braves team a little bit. So as much as he's on the board at 85, at 83, I think comes with a lot of danger, and I think that's visible in those low projections. He did not come up strong in this spot today. There's plenty of ceiling on him. Last time out, that's Bryce Elder. Last time out, went 5, struck out 4, walked 2. 2 earned runs. That was at Coors Field. It's an okay day. But at a high price at Coors Field, you probably didn't get that paid off DFS-wise. Solid start at the Angels. Struck out 7 against that free swinging team. Kept them off the board. Just 3 hits allowed the one before that. That was pretty good. 5 2/3 against the Blue Jays back on the 13th. Just 1 run. Struck out 8 against that low strikeout Blue Jays team. 5 2/3 of 6 strikeout action. 2 hits, no runs against the Reds at Wrigley. Last time he had a true downside, all the way back at the beginning of July 9th against the Twins. 4 2/3 of 4 runs, 6 hit ball. Struck out 5, walked 2, just gave up a home run in that game. Since then has only allowed 3 home runs in, call it 10 starts. Very playable. You can make an argument that he's a little bit lightly projected. But when things land in a certain way, I don't like to mess with him. Like, he was getting the right innings. He was getting the right everything. So I would have had to really artificially go in and change things. And I don't like doing that. But you could, if you were more inclined to lean into Cade Horton here, there's nothing wrong if you want to give him another 2-3 points on FanDuel. 1.5 to 2 points on DraftKings, I would say, is probably about fair. Even amount with some of the other options. But I don't love him against his price. I think I've made it clear, though, that I think he's a talented kid. So if he goes out there and blazes a trail through this Braves lineup that's been bad all year, we did say that at a point. It would not knock me out of my chair if he succeeds today. Elder on the other side, it would probably surprise me if we got a slate winning type of a day out of Bryce Elder. I think he's an okay option to consider, though, at 65 on DraftKings as an SP2. 17.9% strikeout. If we're considering Jose Quintana at a lower strikeout rate, then Bryce Elder's essentially the same type of pitcher. But a 5.85 ERA against a 4.24 xFIP, sub 10% swinging strikes, 25.2% CSW, too much hard hit, too much exit velo overall, sub 4% home run, but not by much. This is a pitcher that you can definitely exploit with some high upside Cubs bats. 4.43 implied total for them. As mentioned, though, last time out against the Phillies and the start before that against the Mets did demonstrate the upside that you can occasionally find from Bryce Elder. Those are two very good teams that comp fairly favorably with the Cubs. And if you weren't here before, against the Phillies last time out at Philly, 7 innings of 1-run ball, 3 hits, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks. Obviously, you're not spiking a monster upside with that, but that's a okay enough start at these cheap prices against a very good team. 6 innings against the Mets, 2 hits, 2 runs on 3 hits, 6 strikeouts in that game against the Mets team that doesn't give away strikeout. 2 walks, gave up a home run, but a very, very good start. Going back to the 14th, the same Mets team in Queens. 3 runs total, only 2 of them earned on 5 hits, struck out 6 against the Mets. Maybe he's just got the Mets number a little bit there. Those are bookended by a 5-run day against Miami, an 8-run day, 3 starts back on the 19th against the White Sox of all teams. 9 hits, 8 earned runs, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks. These are the type of pitchers that the White Sox have been finding success against, by the way. A lot of those White Sox numbers, kind of deceptive. But, visible downside more often than visible upside, but occasionally can squeak through and is capable of giving you 7 innings here. You're just not dealing with a major strikeout opportunity in any way, shape, or form. Cubs bats are my favorite opportunity going this way, and probably my favorite thing in this game overall, but we'll start with the Braves. Ronald Acuna at 56-37, entirely fair. He's up to 15 home runs and 316 plate appearances, a 222 ISO. Looks a whole lot like Ronald Acuna. Fire away with shares of him. Again, against a rookie where there's things that would make me believe in Ronald Acuna going out there and blasting tonight. Like this, like that, like that. Like this, honestly. There's a lot of available premium contact against Horton. Matty Olson, same thing, 13.2% barrels, 53% hard hits, even in a down season for power where we've been stuck at 21 home runs, a 189 ISO, uncharacteristically low output, but not because of uncharacteristic numbers over here. In fact, these numbers are more reminiscent of 2 years ago when he hit 50-something home runs than they are of last year. I got to pull Albies here. Son of a bitch. Didn't mean to do that. What has Ozzy done in recent games? Because those numbers have gone up a little bit. Where are we at? We'll start with a small sample. Yeah, I thought so. Over the last week and change, since the 26th of August, Ozzy's been on a little bit of a tear. 406, 457, 875 stretch. A 259 WRC plus with a 469 ISO. He's hit 4 home runs in that stretch. Got caught stealing. So no stolen bases. 6 runs scored, though. 12 ribbies. Been a good little run there. Let's see how far back we can extend that. Back to mid-August now. August 14th. Picks up another home run. So 5 home runs. 333, 366, 603. A 164 WRC plus. A 269 ISO. That was basically where it started, right around the 14th. If you go back before that and just do it to the beginning of August, it's those same 5 home runs. The ISO drops to 177. Still a positive WRC plus, but it's 107 and drops to 274, 313, 452 in the slash line. So really started picking up steam in like mid-August. So we're still only talking about a 2.5, 3 week stretch, but it's him looking more like the guy that he is or was. Last year, he was mostly lost. The year before, dude hit 33 home runs, stole 13 bases, slash 283, 36, 513 with a 233 ISO, 124 WRC plus. Year before that, only a partial season, but hit well, had 8 home runs and 269 chances. To avoid having to stretch the thing out there. The year before that one that was showing there, he had 30 home runs. That was 2021. Pandemic year, he had 6 home runs and 124 plate appearances, had a 195 ISO. There was 229 ISO in the 30 home run year. 24 home runs in each of 2018 and 2019. 191 and 205 ISO. So, I mean, with all that evidence that this guy can hit and hit for power and put up good slash lines and create runs, yeah, it's been a definitely scuffling, closing in on 1,000 plate appearances over the last 2 years as he comes into his prime seasons at age 27, 28. Been a monster disappointment as far as those 2 seasons go. But do we totally write him off? Do we not believe in this sudden resurgence over the last couple of weeks, or at least want to ride it at 4,000, at 2,900, have a little bit of renewed faith in a very good player? We don't want to get too excited about a short sample. I'm not declaring him back, but I mean, I'm definitely declaring him playable, and I think so are the Braves, hitting him third. Drake Baldwin at 39 at 3,015 home runs and 354 plate appearances. Plenty of left-handed power there, 10.6% barrel. Below a 50% hard hit rate, but not by much. Marcell Ozuna, 11.9% and 45.2% in the premium contact departments, down to 3,800, 2,900. 20 home runs, but slashing just 229, 358, 404. I say just because of the low average, but that's a 358 on base. His creator runs 15% better than average. He's got a 374 xWOBA. It's been very up and down throughout the season, but draws a ton of walks, still hits for power. Michael Harris had his ridiculous run back to quality. How's that held up over the last, again, to get into small samples? Slipped a little bit over the last week and change. Just a 235, 257, 353 week. 1 home run, 1 stolen base. Did drive in 9 over that stretch, though. Only a 66 WRC plus, but if we're just talking in terms of some of those counting stats, doubled once, 8 hits over that stretch. In some ways, that's not completely terrible. He had a couple of okay DFS days there. Like he had a double and 4 RBIs and a run scored on the first 2 days ago. And you would absolutely have taken that game. Home run, 3 runs driven in, 2 hits, a run scored back on the 27th. You would have liked that game. So there's a couple still strong performances. Again, you can't short sample anything. I think it was like the, middle of July when he started up. Since the All-Star break, that down week included, Michael Harris is at 328, 346, 594 with a 157 WRC plus, a 267 ISO, and 11 home runs with 25 runs scored and 33 driven in. He's stolen 3 bases over that stretch. That is Michael Harris fully back. So 37, 3,000, maybe the sites were going to price him up and decided not to after the week. But that is a very, very good player who is in renewed form. Ha-Sung Kim, bad season for him, but another guy, very good 2 years ago. Good the year before that, or decent the year before that. Slipped last year, in and out of the lineup this year, only 97 pretty weak plate appearances. Finds himself in an interesting spot here, though. A little bit of power, a little bit of speed there. If you get quality out of him, get health out of him. Eli White, mix and match quality. Nacho Alvarez, not even that so far. On the Cubs side, Nico, top of the lineup, 339 on base, 104 WRC plus, 23 steals. Very good source of correlated scoring for only 34-28 at second base, but that's all Nico really is. Michael Busch at 41.33, very fairly priced on DraftKings at 41. The FanDuel price is correct. Not exactly a discount, not exactly high price for a guy with 26 homers and a 235 ISO this season, going up against Bryce Elder. Seiya Suzuki, 27 home runs, a 227 ISO. Most of that came through the first half. It's been a rougher stretch for Suzuki, much like it is for Matt Olson on the other side. The two guys are traded for going against one another here. Maybe we'll get a clash of the Titans and they'll both hit a bunch of home runs over this series. I could really use that. That said, very, very fair 4,000 price for Seiya Suzuki on DraftKings today. 33 on FanDuel, not unfair for all the power upside. Even through the slump, we're still at a 120 WRC plus. Ian Happ, 19 home runs, 336 on base. He has come out of the other side of his slump as well. 10.2% barrel, 42% hard hit. They might want to consider moving him back up to the leadoff spot, but he's capable from anywhere in the lineup. He can do anything you need him to do out there. Excellent source of on-base correlated scoring with a little bit of power upside, a little bit of stolen base upside from time to time. Carlos Santana's on this team now. 11 home runs on the board in a weak season, 85 WRC plus. Maybe kicks things up a notch on a better in an improved situation on a better team. He's always been low strikeout and high walk, and he's still held that up, 19.1 and 11.4% this year. Playable option at 31.27, but you're saving a little bit from Michael Busch. More so on FanDuel, the dip from 33 to 27 rather than the you're saving 1,000 on DraftKings. So actually, it's technically a bigger number on DK, but I think it's a more important difference on FanDuel, if that makes sense. At worst, playable if you're not including Busch. Dansby at 37, 3,000, 21 homers, 11 steals, a 100 WRC plus. Tons and tons of upside given an 11.9% barrel, 46.9% hard hit. Willie Castro, a mix and match quality guy, 11 homers and 9 steals. He's an interesting DFS option on any given slate, plays multiple positions at a cheap price, and honestly kind of buried in this lineup where people won't go to him all that much, I wouldn't think. Matt Shaw, another mix and match guy down there, 11 homers and 16 steals for him. Inconsistent, but playable. And then Reese McGuire doing the catching today. 7 home runs and 113 plate appearances is significant output, a 208 ISO. So playable, not an overly appealing option. 80 WRC plus, hasn't contributed much other than those 7 home runs, but playable. Again, everybody's going up against Bryce Elder. Everybody wearing a Cubs uniform today would be playable. And with that in mind, Cubs bats. Braves bats. Cade Horton at too high a price. Wouldn't play Bryce Elder. Didn't give a little credit to those Braves. Now we get to it. Everybody's favorite guy today, Ryan Bergert. .267 ERA this year, but a 4.59 xFIP. It's in 12 starts, 64 innings. Sub 10% swinging strike rate at 25.7% CSW. That's not special. 22.5% strikeouts is okay, but not against a 9.9% walk rate. It's not. 90 miles an hour of exit velo on average on a 19.8 degree average launch angle. That is what I am inclined to look at here. This is a guy who's already demonstrably not as good as he might seem. And it comes with all these fly balls with a lot of exit velocity. That is exactly what the Angels do well. It's not even really like driving their power crazy high up in the home run model. But it could just lead to happenstance here. It could lead to home runs. Even if it's a day where the Angels hit 2 out of the ballpark but only score 5 runs, that breaks your Ryan Bergert play with popularity. 75, 81, unless everybody goes bust. I'm not a believer. I'm really not. It's been a good stretch, sure. Got no past numbers. In 11 starts in AAA this season, 4.03 ERA, a 5.07 xFIP in AAA hitters. He's 25. It's not like he's off age down there, but he's old. Oh, I mean for AAA, and didn't find success. the same, 22.6% strikeouts and 9.2% walks. Had a 1.41 home run per nine. I don't have the percentage in front of me, but it was, if anybody's quick hit division, 7 home runs to 195 AAA hitters this season. 23 AA starts last year as a 24-year-old. 4.78 ERA, a 4.31 xFIP. 20.9% strikeouts at the AA level. 7.9% walks. Technically, the walks are better. Wasn't bad at allowing home runs then, but that was against AA hitters. Had not pitched above AA until this season. We're suddenly big believers in Ryan Bergert. Why? Because of 2, 3, 4, 5 decent starts with the Royals. In 5 starts since joining the Royals, he's pitched into the 6th inning every time. He's yet to give up more than 2 earned runs. It's a good stretch of pitching. No doubt about it. No doubt. That's come at Fenway Park, at the Twins, in Kansas City against the White Sox, at Detroit, in Chicago against the White Sox. So 2 of the 5 against one of the worst teams in baseball. 1 of them against a middle-of-the-road Twins team. 2 of them against good teams, the Tigers and the Red Sox. Against the Red Sox, only struck out 2. Walked 2. Allowed 2 earned runs on 2 hits. Went 5 2/3. Faced 20 hitters. 2 earned runs on 4 hits against the Twins. Struck out 8 in that one. Struck out 7 against the White Sox. Gave up 1 earned run on 6 hits in that one. Struck out just 5 against the Tigers. 2 earned runs on 3 hits, though. You want visible downside as far as the home runs, the fly balls, the power goes? He's given up a home run in each of the last 4 starts, despite those decent end results. 3.05% home runs could be a lot higher. It wouldn't stun me if Ryan Bergert pulled it off again today. I am not saying he's off the table for pitching. I think people are a little overexcited about the spot. But this team does come in with a nearly 30% strikeout rate to work with. So yes, the Angels can be as targeted as Ryan Bergert is, but I want everybody to understand, Jackson Chourio out of the lineup for the Brewers. I want everybody to understand that is in no way safe. That is a high, high danger spot with Bergert on the hill there. And then there's Caden Dana, who, again, 7 home runs at the major league level to like 80-something hitters, like I said before. I said it at the beginning of the show. Just pushing monster power upside toward the Royals. I love their implied team total at 5+. This team's low strikeout, good at sequencing. Dana, last year, I mentioned the home runs in the show, but last year in 18 starts at AAA, pitched to a 5.93 ERA with a 5.72 xFIP, had a 1.54 home run per 9. That was 14 home runs to 370 AAA hitters. Now, you have to give him a little credit. The kid is 21 years old. That's this year, by the way, in AAA. He's 21, so he's here ahead of time. But that is a lot of power on deck for a high-quality Royals team. This kid's not much more than a target here. Angels bats, if we're going that direction. Let's see if we have that lineup in. We do. A lot of lineups rolling in. Let me grab that Brewers lineup real quick. Just to swing back 2 games real quick. So, no Jackson Chourio. Definitely a ding for the Brewers. Helpful for Aaron Nola. You get Collins in the 2 spot. I like that option. That's a smart move by them as far as who to move into that role. Switch hitter, he's getting on base at a 373 clip this year, a 127 WRC plus. Not a massive amount of power, but capable of driving the ball. Also a strong walk rate. So just as a table setter option ahead of Contreras, ahead of Christian Yelich. And then we get Jake Bauers inserted into this version of the lineup at just 2,800 over here, 2,500 over here, first base and outfield eligible. You'll note the 13.6% barrel and 45.5% hard hits, the 5 home runs in just 162 plate appearances, which is just an okay total. Hopefully, you know those things before you look at the 184, 309, 331 slash line, just a 147 WRC plus. The 345 xWOB is another positive indicator, though. He is quite a bit better than the numbers he's put up. He has a little bit of power. He has a little bit of speed, too. He's stolen 5 bases in this limited opportunity this year. That's an interesting hitter. Last year, 12 homers, 13 steals in 346 plate appearances. Similarly, though, Sub Mendoza, 87 WRC plus, a dozen home runs 2 years ago, right around the Mendoza line. Not a consistent guy, not a reliable guy, but a guy who does have sneaky power and sneaky DFS contribution upside. Then we get Perkins. We get Frelick in the 7 spot, which sucks. I'd rather, especially moving things around, I would have rather have found Sal somewhere else. Playable option even from there, though. And then Siegler and Joey Ortiz down the bottom of the lineup are at best mix and match quality. So this is an improved target to throw Aaron Nola against. 77-86. I don't know that I nudge Nola for that, or maybe the total comes down a little bit for the Brewers, and maybe that nudges it a little bit for us. But a softer target for him. Anyway, got to pick up some time here. Zach Neto at the top of the Angels to target Ryan Bergert, 8.55 in the home run model. He's got 25 long balls on the season. He's also carrying a 224 ISO, again against a average strikeout pitcher, a guy who walks too many. This is a high strikeout team, but it's a dangerous team for power. They're lethal. Look at all these double-digit barrel rates. Look at all these 40+% hard hit rates for a lot of these guys. There's plenty of Ks there, but there's so much danger, and Zach Neto is a big part of it. Joan Moncada is cheap at 37.26. He's hit 11 home runs in 233 opportunities, carrying major barrel and hard hit rate upside. A lot of strikeouts from him, but he's also drawn a lot of walks this year. He's getting on at a 322 clip, 218 ISO. That is a very solid option at a nothing price. Again, to throw up against a guy who is not proven in any way, I think is fair. 4,200, 3,200 for Taylor Ward, who's hit 30 home runs already this year. Joe Adell's got 32. 32 home runs for Joe Adell. It just sucks he's not stealing bases this season. If he had like 15 stolen bases to go with that, like what he put up last year, that would be just like just that much better. DFS-wise, he'd probably be a lot higher price too. We're getting a major discount on an awesome power bat at 3,800, 2,900. This is Joe Adell doing his thing, guys. 17.2% barrels and 49% hard hits. That is entirely real. 384 xWOB under the surface tells us what the improvement could look like with just some positive outcomes on his side. Luis Rengifo, Chris Taylor get a little bit limiting. Neither of those guys having a good season. Neither of the Luis Rengifo was good last year. Chris Taylor was not good last year, but it's been a minute for both. Mix and match quality at the absolute best. They're both cheap. They both fill second base eligibility as well as playing multiple other positions. Logan O'Hoppe is the priority down lineup here. 13.9% barrels and 48% hard hits, 19 home runs and 401 plate appearances. No consistency at all at 222, 263, 397 and just a 79 WRC plus, but a lot of power upside to throw against Ryan Bergert and all his fly ball problems. Ozzy Peraza and Bryce D'Adosio, on the other hand, just mix and match quality, if that. It is a shorter Angels lineup than I would have liked to have had, which will help Ryan Bergert. A lot of danger through there and right here, though. The stack kind of draws itself. That is a 38.80, so $3,900 a man for the 5-man. Especially if he gets out to crazy high ownership. What's his ownership? They're talking him up in a big way over at RG, and I assume elsewhere, given the chatter I've seen. But with RG's little dots system, all four of their experts are on that guy today. It's pushing him up to a significant ownership number. I don't know. I kind of like the idea of attacking him with some of those hard-hitting Angels and see what happens. It's not like they're popping off the top of the model today, though. Again, those home run numbers for them are just okay. Nobody over the magic number. Just a low-end projection where their projections have been getting out of hand. The Luis Rengifos, Chris Taylor, Ozzy Perazas will do that to you with their limited numbers. So a little bit of the downside, I think, is reflected in the overall here. But the hitters we highlighted, major upside as well. And if people aren't going to them because they're going to Ryan Bergert, I like the idea. That said, on the other side, I think the priority bats are Kansas City. 5+ implied total. Love the upside there. As mentioned, I love how this team fits together with the Yankees and numerous other options. You get a little bit of multi-position out of some of the lower down guys, but with the inclusion of Jack Caglianone here, at just 2,300, at 2,400, he's got first base and outfield on FanDuel. He's outfield only on DraftKings. It just stretches the playability of this team where we're not just looking at like filling the infield and then, all right, I need a team that has 3 good outfielders. Yankees do that for you anyway. But it just stretches out the playability a little bit more in the 5-man. You've also got Yaz doing that up from the top at 38-28. 15 home runs, a very solid on-base option with a 332 on base, a 106 WRC plus to set the table for these guys. Draws a lot of walks, doesn't strike out that much, and also hits the ball hard. You get a little individual upside going to Yaz. He's got a 10.23 in the home run model today because, again, Caden Dana has a home run issue as part of his repertoire. Bobby Witt at 58 at 37, 20 home runs, 34 steals, 297, 354, 504. Bobby Witt is a superstar. You play him in most of your Royal stacks. Vinny, just 4,300, 3,000. I don't really know what we're doing. 28 home runs, a 207 ISO, a 111 WRC plus. Does he feel like a $4,300 player? Guy who's found success consistently over the last 3 seasons? Yeah, the average has come down a little bit, but the power's gone way up. This is a somewhat changed hitter, but he's still super low strikeout, medium walk, a lot of very well struck balls in play. That's an excellent option to throw at this pitcher. Michael Garcia at 48-29, 15 homers, 22 steals, 128 WRC plus. Another super low strikeout, 13.3%. Higher walk rate at 9.2 than what Vinny's giving you. A lot of hard hits, fewer barrels out of Garcia, though. That's your difference maker. Sal is up to a 15.1% barrel rate. It's resulted in 23 home runs, a 199 ISO that should finish over 200. If he surges, we might get to 26 to 28 home runs. It's not his strongest ever season, but it's also not a dramatically down season, or at least not as much as the pricing would have you believe. 11.28 in the home run model to join the other 3 guys in this lineup above the magic number for home runs. Then we hit Michael Massey, Adam Frazier, Kyle Isbell. Mix and match quality guys, everybody very cheap. Between the 3, it continues to be Adam Frazier having the best year. Kyle Isbell not totally invisible at the bottom of the lineup. Hitting for an okay average, but doesn't really put up counting stats, just an 84 WRC plus, not a lot of justification in terms of his premium contact or anything else. But there is a lot of same between Frazier, Massey, and Isbell. The interesting one down the bottom of the lineup, though, is Caglianone. He was in this spot and I believe above the magic number. Can I do this? Oh, wait, that's just copying the formula. No, it's just carrying his other number. It's carrying it from the confirmed spot. He was in, I believe, in that spot in the projected lineup and above the magic number. But not to bury the lead, Jack Caglianone, home run pick of the day. He's hit 5 in 161 plate appearances, just a 133 ISO, but he's made great contact, 12.1% barrel rate, 41.4% hard hits. Missed a little bit of time in there. Tremendous power hitting rookie. Love the upside. Hopefully hidden down the bottom of the lineup. I doubt that that's the case. Home run pick of the day, Jack Caglianone. Definitely love the home run upside that you're going to get out of the top. I like the Royals to hit multiple home runs today in the brief time that we'll probably have Caden Dana to work with. It's not like the Angels have a crazy upside option coming out of the bullpen after him, though. Royals bats, Angels bats, Ryan Bergert. Don't play Caden Dana. Both these lineups already in. Joandres Gomez, problematic on the mound, 14% walk, 5.20 ERA against a 5.59 xFIP, just looking like a target, especially given that 13.1% barrel he's allowed so far. Just 2.94% home run rate feels a little light, but it's very small sample. I feel like that number goes up as time goes on. Twins could be a part of that. There are plenty of hard-hitting bats in that lineup. Would not play Joandres at any price on either side. Zebby, on the other hand, is an argument. 27% strikeouts, a 12.3% swinging. Excellent mark by Stuff plus. 5.06 ERA, but a 3.42 xFIP, I think, explains exactly what we're wrestling with here. That's priced in on DraftKings at 82. A lot less so on FanDuel at 93. FanDuel's kind of saying, no, this is a good pitcher, and we know that, and we're pricing him that way against one of the worst teams in baseball. His quality is also reflected in the 3.70 implied total on the other side for the White Sox. This has been, yes, a frisky White Sox team that has been able to exploit the downside of some pitchers that come with it, like the 10.5% walk rate, the barrel rate rather, the 40+% hard hit, the 90+ mile an hour exit velo. All three are over our threshold. They're not dramatically over, but I have to at least, ring that bell. Comes on a very high average launch, 3.47% home runs, probably realistically should be above 4%. Getting a little bit of luck there, but not a ton of luck either. Everybody knows there's some power downside with Zebby. Given this, mostly given that and this, I'm a believer in the talent on a short slate like today. Would play on FanDuel. I think he projects out correctly. Definitely would play on DraftKings at 82. And on DK, he's right in that blob. There's the top two with they have Robbie Ray and then the other guy. And then Zebby's right in there with several of the guys we've talked about and the obvious. So there's nothing really special, but there's also nothing problematic for a kid that could be one of the better options as far as strikeout upside goes. 22.6% strikeout rate for this version of the White Sox lineup. That's bolstered somewhat by three of the options in here, right? Low strikeout, low strikeout, low strikeout. Everybody else, pretty aggressively high strikeout, right? If you just look at those guys, we're talking about 6 of the 9 hitters that are at a 26% collective strikeout rate. So there are plenty of strikeout targets here for Zebby. There's also a few guys who can deliver the home run ball, though. But their biggest bat is not in the lineup with Lou Bob injured. Kyle Teal's very interesting if you're choosing to go to the White Sox. Even if you're not going to a White Sox stack, on DraftKings where you have to roster a catcher, 4,100, considering that he's leading off today, Kyle Teal gets interesting, just as a one-off consideration. Zebby doesn't exactly have a walk problem, and Teal does get a fair amount of his success and his quality via the 12.1% walk. 388 on base is really interesting. The reason I think that he becomes interesting at that price, just as a spot filler at catcher, and then you do other things, he's not broken price cheap, but he's cheap because you're potentially getting a bonus plate appearance from him as compared to a lot of the other catchers on the board. Most of the catchers on this slate, with a few exceptions, hit like 5th down. Couple of them in the 3 range. Obviously, you've got a monster in Cal Raleigh. You've got William Contreras is on this slate. Edgar Quero in this lineup hits 4th. But just the opportunity involved in leading off makes that at least somewhat interesting for a kid who's proven to be successful at this level. A 130 WRC plus, not a monster power bat so far, but has found nearly a 9% barrel against a kid who's given up a lot of barrels so far. So that makes Kyle Teal interesting as a one-off, and definitely if you're stacking, definitely a part of stacks. Our guy Lennon here is very cheap. First and second base eligibility, 3 positions on FanDuel, 35-27 in his best season, 19 home runs on the board, a 100 WRC plus, a very nice looking 345 xWOB. It says a little bit more under the surface here, probably reflective of the low on base, the low walk rate a little bit, but you can find some major quality with Sosa. He's also just not a secret anymore, at least among people considering White Sox stacks. Colson Montgomery is cheap at 4,200 at shortstop for a guy with a 13.8% barrel, 16 home runs in just 190 plate appearances, a 314 ISO. That's outrageous home run pace. That is a absolutely phenomenal first 190 plate appearances, despite the 229, 286 part of it. Edgar Quero has been successful, a 104 WRC plus. Just a 301 xWOB is concerning. If some of the quality from the low strikeout, medium walk rate evaporates, the 346 on base, some of the 281 average, the BABIP goes away a little bit, we could see him dip, but he is finding a 47.9% hard hit rate against the low strikeout. So you're getting a lot of high quality balls in play. Andrew Benintendi is not the guy that hit the 17 home runs in a hurry. He's more the 245, 307, 428, just meh kind of guy. Mix and match quality outfielder, just another outfielder on a good day. Curtis Mead at 25-23, a little bit cheap. He hasn't been great over 212 plate appearances, but I continue to believe there's talent there. He's just striking out a little bit too much, not walking enough, not putting great bat on ball yet in this show, but he's very, very cheap as a spot filler in the middle infield. Maybe it's more a FanDuel thing. We can get him across multiple spots rather than a $2,500 third baseman on DraftKings. It's probably better ways to fill third. Brooks Baldwin is hit 9 home runs. He's mix and match quality, 155 ISO. Michael A is always interesting down here. Consistently double-digit barrels, consistently buried at the bottom of lineups. Just 8 home runs and 7 stolen bases. Not exactly killer output this year. Just a 176 ISO. But he's down there against a pitcher if we're choosing to attack the downside of Zebby, which is the barrels, the hard hit, the exit velo. Then Michael A should be a part of that conversation because that plays into what he does well. And you can make a similar argument for Brooks Baldwin. It's just this is the only time we've seen it. Ongoing quality, though, from Michael A. Striking out a lot this year. Did last year and the year before as well, though. And then Chase Meidroth at the bottom of the lineup, 253, 332, 325. A mix and match quality guy with a decent hit tool, decent nose for getting on base. Doesn't turn it into anything, though. Just an 88 WRC+. Going to the Twins side with the pitcher lineup that we want to use to attack this weak pitcher, Byron Buxton, an 11+ in the home run model. Monster opportunity to hit another one. 29 homers, 21 stolen bases, and 451 plate appearances. One of the better, more extended stretches of Byron Buxton we've seen overall. Trevor Larnach, 34-28, cheap. He's got 16 home runs, puts good wood on the ball at an 8% barrel, 44.8% hard hit. The barrels have dipped a little bit over the last 2 years, but low strikeout, fairly high walk. That's an interesting bat for such a cheap price against a nothing right-handed pitcher. Luke Keishel's found a lot of success over 131 plate appearances. 4 homers, 8 steals, a 405 on base, creating runs 53% better than average. Just okay bat on ball. Batted ball events aren't anything special so far, but low strikeout, high walk. He's an interesting option. 3rd spot in the lineup, probably correct for where he's hitting. Matt Wallner, a lot of power there. 20 home runs in 342 opportunities, a 271 ISO, 14% barrels. Matt Wallner is an absolute thumper from the left side, and he only costs 35, 3,000 against the Ken. Just a nothing righty. Ryan Jeffers at worst mix and match quality catcher. 9 home runs, a decent slash line at 258, 349, 392, a 110 WRC+, 6.8% barrel, 42.2% hard hit. That is a good season so far still from Ryan Jeffers. 19.5% strikeouts against 10.8% walks. He has been interesting and not at all priced up for the quality. Brooks Lee has 14 home runs. You got 10 on the board out of Royce Lewis in a down season overall for him. Either guy, mix and match quality, 86 WRC+ for both. Neither one is doing anything overly special this year, but both are capable of breaking off a special-looking game on any given slate. Between the two, I prefer Royce Lewis for the ongoing barrel rate. It's down this season, but not in comparison to Brooks Lee. Edward Ulian, another guy who can hit the ball hard, find some quality from time to time. He's far less consistent than these two guys who are not exactly the picture of consistency. And then Austin Martin down lineup, 270, 365, 365 over 86 plate appearances. Has not really done anything outside of finding a little bit of success via BABIP, but maybe if you need an emergency, cheap correlated scoring option, he's down there. He's an inoffensive option. Great opportunity for the Twins. Most of the quality lies up here, but there are playable pieces down throughout the lineup. It is a 9-man stack. For that reason, Twins above Zebby Matthews. It's Twins, Zebby, White Sox bats against Zebby, and no Joandris Gomez. A's bats are in. I've got most of these lineups in already. I know it's 5:30, but this is a 7:35 start, by the way. Nice to have some time to build lineups with everything confirmed, hopefully later on. So the A's going up against a gettable enough Matthew Liberatore. We do have Kurtz in the lineup, which is a boon to the power upside. Monster bat with 27 home runs on the board, a 17.5% barrel rate, a 323 ISO, 177. He out of the shell, one of the best players in baseball. It's rare to see something like this. Maybe it changes, next year. Maybe they figure him out. Doesn't look as good, doesn't find as much luck, good fortune, whatever. This is one of the more outrageous first 400 plate appearances we have seen, at least in the last several decades of baseball that I can remember. And they're good up and down. Shea Langolier's having a great season, 54-35, fully priced for it, but yet another catcher. That's another guy. I forgot he was here. Top of the lineup. You get bonus plate appearances. You're paying for him with Langoliers. That's the difference. You're not paying for him with Kyle Teal. They're doing different things out there. Obviously, 276 ISO and 29 home runs, but a 307 on base is not exactly what you want in the leadoff spot. They're just looking to get on the board early with power with Langoliers up there. Jacob Wilson, maybe a little miscast in the 2 spot. You'd probably have those guys flip with most teams. 315, 357, 452, dominant table setting numbers. Excellent hit tool. He has a little situational power, though. He has hit 12 home runs, but that's probably the guy you want ahead of the power. Already mentioned Kurtz, but monster. Just you're absolutely going there. If Langoliers is going to be 54.35, Kurtz is probably underpriced at 59.39. They're obviously very high prices, but by comparison, I don't necessarily know that they are. Brent Rooker at 47.35 is definitely discounted on DraftKings. 35 on FanDuel feels fairly consistent. He's hit 27 home runs. He's got a 224 ISO, a 365 underlying xWOBA. He's a monster. That is a cheap price to find Brent Rooker on DK. 124 WRC plus this season. Colby Thomas, better than a mix and match over 86 plate appearances. The triple slash is pretty shaky, but the counting stats are good. 11 runs, 14 ribbies of 4 home runs, 205 ISO. Just a 281 xWOB is obviously concerning. 36% strikeout against a 4.5% walk rate is not sustainable, but 10% barrels and 52% hard hits. The batted ball events have been great. Zach Geloff has given you a few good batted ball events in a limited 58 plate appearances. 2 home runs in that small sample. We've found success with Zach Geloff. Last year, in the 6th spot, 17 home runs and 25 stolen bases. We're just looking for cheap counting stats. 3,000 at second base, 2,500 at second base. That totally works. Ernaiz has found a little success. Down to an 84 WRC plus. Actually, yeah, we've normalized a little bit now. 121 plate appearances. The sample got a little stretched on me. 314 on base has come down somewhat. He has 12 runs and 12 ribbies. If you're hunting for cheap counting stats, maybe against a low strikeout, high walk guy, if you can get him on base, you can find a little correlated scoring there. But that's really all it is. Lawrence Butler, a good player who's underperformed on the season, but the counting stats are there. 18 home runs, 17 steals to go with the other 2 categories. It's not bad. For DFS purposes, now that he's 38-29 and less popular, that's an easy option to reach. Pair of home runs, 3 stolen bases for Willie McIver over 82 plate appearances, a mix and match quality guy at the catcher spot. You greatly prefer Shea Langoliers. All of that is going against a low strikeout, heavy contact pitcher in Matthew Liberatore. 4.32 ERA, a 4.32 xFIP. Those match. 1.32 whip. Too many guys on base. That's despite just a 6% walk rate. So you see a lot of success against just with the frequency of contact resulting in a lot of BABIP, a lot of hard hit balls. Over the threshold, a 1/10 of a point below the threshold on a fly ball trajectory. Probably lucky to be at a 2.84% home run. Last year, that was just 307 over 86 innings. Would have been interesting to see where a larger sample would have gone. 3.11 in 34 innings 2 years ago, 182 in 61 innings. It's not a lot of large sample here. There's a lot of heavy right-handed power here. They weren't afraid to throw Nick Kurtz in as a lefty bat against the lefty. At 6,900, if you want to throw a dart just at the opportunity for some innings pitched with Liberatore, and maybe he checks them down a little bit, you can get that occasionally, but you have to pay attention to the fact that has not pitched in the 6th inning since June 29th now. So that attribute has kind of gone away. Some of that is because of some heavy runs against. But over that stretch, he gave up 6 earned runs on July 11th and then has not given up more than 4 and only gave up 4 once. Gave up 3 a handful of times, low strikeout, couple of walks, some hits, guys on base. So he's an easy guy to hook. And that's just been happening to him a lot. So I don't know that you even get your dart throw innings pitched, even on a good day. Springs at 7,300 is going up against the lineup with a 25.2% strikeout rate. There are some strikeout targets on St. Louis now, and these are not incredibly small samples. Those are all realistically high strikeout guys. Springs, as mediocre as he might be, and this is not a special strikeout rate at 19%, it is still closing in on 1 in 5 and a playable one on this slate. 11% swinging strikes is where I'm kind of interested against free swingers. I think he can push some strikeout upside today. It's coming through the model. 4.17 ERA, but a concerning 4.63 xFIP. 1.19 WHIP with a 7.6% walk. Those are right in line. It's a high-ish walk rate for not as many strikeouts as you would like. 4.13% home run rate on a lot of fly balls. Believable home run power downside. I talked up the frequency of fly balls before when we were looking against the pitcher, but the difference there was they came with a ton of exit velocity, where with Jeffrey Springs, that's not actually the case. He's been inducing a fair amount of weak and medium contact. So there's some bad luck in this 4+% home run rate. I'm inclined to believe we are well under all three of our thresholds. But if you throw enough fly balls out there, you're just going to result in some of them going into the seats on a windy day, on a day in the wrong ballpark for that trajectory and that angle, or in that angle off the bat where it goes in the ballpark. I mean, not launch angle. Trajectory was the launch angle part. So some downside for sure, but it's not like the Cardinals are loaded up with home run power. Lars Nootbaar's okay. Wilson's got 20. Nolan Gorman's got a lot of realistic power. He's at 13 in 335 chances. But I mean, your average hitter in this 9-man lineup has 10 home runs at this point in the season. 73-77 feels cheap. Again, FanDuel made a lot of things work at that price. Went through the A's lineup. Let's do the Cards. Mason Wynn, at best on a good day, just another shortstop, 254, 309, 368. I'm just not a fan. I don't mean to talk down about the guy all the time, but what does he do that's special? Every now and then you succeed with a little BABIP, but that's true of basically everyone. It's a good spot in the lineup, sure. Against a gettable starter, sure. I'm more on the Jeffrey Springs side. Ed Ada's been good, 45-31. 13 home runs from a catcher, not bad. Another catcher hitting high in the lineup. I guess I was incorrect about how many catcher opportunities we have that high up in the lineup. Are there any more coming up? Yeah, Hunter Goodman hits third as well. That is still, I stand by what I said, though. Kyle Thiel in that leadoff spot for the cheap price is interesting because of the extra opportunities at plate appearances. 42 feels cheap for Nootbaar. 29, not bad. 13 home runs on the board, a 145 ISO in a down year, a 332 xWOBA, but shows the quality a little bit, a 105 WRC plus. He has prevailed to a positive run creation mark on some walk rate at 10.9%. Getting on base regularly at 333 on base is very good. 9.9% barrels and 51.3% hard hits, though, is what interests me for a guy that the power has gone away a little bit. It's not because he's made worse contact. He's got the exact same barrel rate as last year, and the hard hits have gone up. So that remains a very interesting bat if you're going to the Cardinals. Contreras at worst is very playable at those prices at first base. 20 home runs, leads the team, a 192 ISO, 118 WRC plus, more than adequate. Sagisi, just another infielder, mix and match quality across positions. Again, Gorman does have premium power, but it comes with a ton of strikeouts. He's finding some walk again this year at 12.8%. That makes him interesting. 310 on base. As long as he can keep this above 300, he's okay. I would love to have it in the 325 to 330 range. That would make him special. 181 ISO, needs to pick up the pace and find a few extra base hits along with the home runs, but 13 homers in 335. Double-digit barrels, not bad. Pedro Paz and Victor Scott, mix and match quality. Scott does have 31 stolen bases, just an infrequent contributor, doesn't get enough on base to really be a strong wraparound option. Playable, but that's it from the bottom, and a low-end contributor. And then poor Jordan Walker, just lost for results. 31.7% strikeouts against 6.4% walk, not strong enough as a ratio. 220, 274, 313, just a .092 ISO, 5 home runs. That comes in spite of a 10.4% barrel rate and a 49.8% hard hit rate. There is thunder in that bat. It just gets muted all the time. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. Maybe he needs a change of scenery. Hopefully he gets traded to like the Rays or somebody like that where he would find success. Kid's good, 2,800, 2,600. If I'm building an abundance of Cardinals lineups, he would still be in a fair amount of them, just given the way he can contact the ball. That's exactly what I'm looking for against Jeffrey Springs if I'm going that way. Jeffrey Springs, A's bats, Cardinals bats, Matthew Liberatore. All four things are in play. 2 games to go. I know we're meandering our way through this one. I'm scrolling the wrong direction for Yankees. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you get a chance. Check out rotoscouts.com. Access to everything is always under $1 a day. But you can take advantage of promo code KICKOFF. Why would that do that? That's not helpful at all. Promo code KICKOFF gets you 33% off that first month. Puts your September price at Rotoscouts for the full month of September at $15. 50 cents a day. 30 days at September. Gets you baseball and football. Every single football game is going to be covered. Every main slate for baseball and a few of the other ones be covered the rest of the way through the regular season. I'm sure we'll cover whatever slates are available for postseason baseball as well. So check it out. No time like the present. Get on board for 50 cents a day. And ongoing access. Once NBA and NHL are here, those are also included for your same under $1 a day. All promos renew when you hit the renewal point after a month at the regular price, which is not all that much more expensive. Yankees bats, 473 implied total. Astros bats, 437 implied total. Not uninteresting on either side. The Yanks, high priority team. They ranked second or third overall on the stacks board because they're difficult to suppress. They're also showing 4 guys with double-digit home run model numbers against Jason Alexander, who has allowed a 3.75% home run rate, 90 miles an hour of exit velo, and a 48% hard hit rate over his 54 2/3. He's also a sub 20% strikeout pitcher, 4.61 ERA, a 4.34 xFIP. Has found a stretch of success. One of those games included a start against this Yankees team. Again, as mentioned at the start of the show, held them to 1 hit and no runs over 6 innings. Faced 21 Yankees. He only struck out 3 and he walked 3. Got out of a little bit of trouble in a couple spots. But obviously a very high-end game. He has not given up more than 3 earned runs since a start on the 24th against the Athletics, in which he gave up 5. Over that same stretch, he's got 3 6 strikeout games and an 8 strikeout game. The other 2 were 3 strikeout games. One was against these Yankees. The other one was against the Orioles. But again, has been finding some depth into the 6th inning in each of his last 5 starts, 3 of which he completed. The last 2 he did not. 5 2/3 last time against Colorado in Houston, and 5 1/3 against Baltimore in Baltimore. But only gave up 3 earned runs on 7 hits to Colorado. Found 8 strikeouts against that lineup. 2 earned runs on 8 hits to Baltimore, but again, didn't finish the 6th. So a little bit of a bump there as far as the quality start opportunity on FanDuel, even on a good day. Maybe you don't quite get there. He gets into a jam against this Yankee squad, and this is a team that draws a 10.9% walk rate. They do strike out, but they also draw a ton of walks and create their own opportunities. There's a big problem with that price. That could get broken awfully fast. 88 on DraftKings is kind of the same thing. Maybe I'm being unfair in the projection. I just left it where it came up, though. And again, it's another example where the numbers for everything that creates the projection were correct for this guy, or what we have for this guy so far. I'm just a bigger believer over here. Am I covering the logo? So Yankees bats, high priority. Willie Warren, 24.8% strikeouts, a 4.30 ERA with a 3.87 xFIP. There's a lot of upside. There's a little bit of downside, though, too. The ERA not great. The xFIP is significantly lower, but still approaching 4 runs. Too many walks at 10%. Too many guys on base. But he's been an adequate 1-4 strikeout pitcher with visible upside in his stuff. 9.8% barrels is too many. So is the hard hit. So is the exit velo. Probably lucky to be sub 4% home runs, let alone 2.67%. But has found success along the way all season long. Has spiked a few very nice upside games. That said, limited as far as what he's allowed to do from time to time. Just 5 innings last time out. Gave up 4 unearned runs. Struck out 3 and walked 2. Home run allowed. But obviously the shaky nature of the Yankees defense continues to bite them in the ass and created that situation. Overall, only 5 hits, but only struck out 3. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, the last 3 times out has only struck out 3. One was against Boston. There was that one against the White Sox, and then at St. Louis. The St. Louis game, 3 strikeouts and a walk, only 1 earned run, but it came on 6 hits and they gave up 3 runs total. 7 strikeout day over 6 2/3. A lot of depth available there on August 11th against the Twins, but only a 5-inning day the game before that against the Rangers on August 5th. 5 innings, kept them off the board. 3 hits, no runs, 5 strikeouts, but 3 walks. Gave them the hook. The walks can run the pitch count up, and we get a high walk, fairly high strikeout pitcher that can run the pitch count up, especially for a young pitcher. I think that's priced in on DraftKings. I think a lot of the concerns, including the low strikeout nature and the high quality nature of the Astros on the other side, the 437 implied total, I think that's all taken care of at that $8,000 price on DraftKings. There are cheaper options, but they don't all come with as much quality. At 87 on FanDuel, I don't know. The downside's a little bit more apparent, I would say. You break that price a little bit quicker. But very much in play on either side. Trent Grisham, what a year. Trent Grisham, the reason that Framber Valdez, yes, going back to it, absolutely intentionally crossed up Cesar Salazar. Quality Soul calling for the Ivan Herrera home run. OMG, who was that? Who was that about? I'm not a fan either. Burger? But yeah, Framber, if you didn't see it, was about to throw a pitch to Trent Grisham yesterday. Bases loaded. Cesar Salazar doing the catching for the Astros. Framber shook him off. Wanted to throw a fastball. Salazar was giving him, literally went like this, saying, step off the mound. Take a minute. Let's figure it out. Framber didn't do that. Framber threw the pitch. 96 miles an hour right down the pipe. Trent Grisham sent it into the left field seats for a grand slam. His 29th home run of the year. 236 ISO. One of the guys on the season who most defied my expectations from the beginning of the year. If you remember those early shows, I was basically saying this isn't real. It's not going to continue, especially not around the on base and the power, and it absolutely has. He's been fantastic while playing really good outfield. Excellent, excellent option. To continue the Astros anecdote, though, next hitter comes up. Framber throws the first pitch high and away. Second pitch, they obviously called for a breaking ball. Salazar sets up low, and Framber drills him in the chest protector with a 93-mile-an-hour fastball. Somebody made a very funny and apt comment on Twitter that I saw. The surprising thing about that situation is not Framber crossing up his catcher and drilling his own catcher with a pitch to make a point and to show him that he was angry, which, by the way, Framber's the guy who screwed that situation up, not the catcher. But the surprising and funny thing about that was that for that to happen, Anthony Volpe took a 93-mile-an-hour fastball right down the middle. Didn't swing at it. If Volpe had just swung the bat, that wouldn't have happened. It probably would have been drilled. Continues to be terrible. Anyway, all that to say that Trent Grisham in the leadoff spot against Jason Alexander looking pretty sharp. 10.90 in the home run model. He's at 29. Monster number, monster season. At worst, he's been a great table setter for Aaron Judge, Cody Bellinger, Jazz Chisholm, and the quality that follows. Judgy at 65-47. There's nothing he can't do on a baseball field. 43 home runs, slashing 325, 442, 671. I feel like we don't talk about him enough because we just like fly through it. Because I always say like Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge. You just play him. The guy is, again, every time you watch Aaron Judge take the field, you are watching someone who is on the level of the all-time greats. The all-time Hall of Famers. That's what this guy does. He is that good. Absolutely a pleasure to play at any price. Cody Bellinger, 52-34, fairly priced across sites. He's got 26 home runs, 11 stolen bases, a 222 ISO, 128 WRC plus. Tremendous contributor this year. Low strikeout, medium walk, a lot of well-struck balls in play. Lefty bat to throw at a gettable right-handed pitcher. Yanks looking for some revenge for that last start. I love getting Cody into lineups from the 3 spot. Jazz and Giancarlo both over the magic number for home run upside at 11 plus and 10 plus. Those numbers probably flip-flop by the spot in the lineups. Both those guys, tremendous power bats. Stanton is a different kind of beast. 17 home runs and 200 plate appearances, a 322 ISO. Ridiculous power, barrels, hard hits. He's he's absurd. He also strikes out at a 31% clip. Every now and then you can get him, but one of the best, if not the best overall power bat, if you're just talking about swing speed, home run creation in all of baseball. He's absurd. Jazz does a little bit of everything. 28 home runs, 26 stolen bases, monster season, 262 ISO, 134 WRC+. Fills multiple positions on FanDuel. DraftKings 54, expensive, but a top quality second base option. Ben Rice, a lot of power from him. 22 home runs, an excellent 335 on base, a 240 ISO. He's got a 411 xWOBA that's second highest on the team behind Aaron Judge. 16.4% barrel, 55% hard hits. How much better is Ben Rice going to get going forward? I'm not sure. A lot of evidence that he's going to spike a monster future. Austin Wells at just 36, 3,000 can put one in the seats. 19 home runs at 219 ISO out of him. Not a lot of consistency at 210, 267, 429, but a high-quality catcher bat. Volpe sucks, but he creates counting stats. 19 homers, 16 steals, another high-quality category season across all four of those. 192 ISO. Capable of driving the ball, if nothing else, 10.4% barrel. And then Ryan McMahon, a 3 true outcomes hitter at the bottom of the lineup. A lot of strikeouts, but also a lot of walks. A lot of positive batted ball events. 18 home runs. Getting on at just a 316 clip, needs to improve, but he's lost a little bit around the edge with ISO. Some extra base hits evaporated despite not losing the premium contact. In fact, improving upon it year over year. Very playable and helps cheapen up the Yankees lineup at 3,300, at 2,800. That's a cheap bat to find down bottom of the Yankees lineup. On the Astros side, you can absolutely use them to attack Willie Warren here. I don't want to make it sound like you can't. He's given up plenty of power this season. He walks too many hitters. They're low strikeout anyway. They have Jordan back. That alone is a good reason to consider Astros. Jeremy Pena from the top at 51.34, holding on to 300 plus, 304, 365, 473, 350 xWOB under the surface to speak to the ongoing nature of the reality of this quality season. He's had 14 home runs, 20 steals, a 134 WRC plus. Jordan Alvarez, just one of the best hitters in baseball in everything, full stop. Continually barreling and hitting the ball hard, low strikeout, excellent high walk rate. Suffered early in the season, then missed all that time. 136 ISO. I know he's hit at least one home run since coming back, a 393 xWOBA under the surface. You absolutely play Jordan if you're using this Astros team at all, and he's a very high-quality one-off at just 4,500 on DraftKings. That's a stupid cheap price. He should never, ever, ever, ever be that cheap. That's just dumb. You're going to put 40... That's literally making me mad. Are you guys seeing this make me mad on the show? I had not noticed how cheap he was. That's dumb. Guys, this is... Oops. That's not going to help anybody. I know I don't have to show you guys Jordan Alvarez's numbers, especially because I did it the other day, but I mean, this guy's 37 home runs 3 years ago, 31 home runs 2 years ago, 35 home runs last year, 300, 392, 567, a 168 WRC plus, 293, 407, 583. Like, I don't have to read the numbers to you. They're right there, but like literally one of the best hitters in baseball, top 5 hitter in all of baseball. Monster power, excellent at everything. This is stupid. He should never be below 5,000, let alone like 5,500. Take advantage. 4,900 for Jose Altuve, much more expensive than Jordan Alvarez. Altuve's having a nice season, 24 home runs, 9 steals, a 334 on base, a 117 WRC plus. I absolutely want him at second base, but if I can only have one Astro, give me cheaper Jordan. 200 more for Alvarez on the FanDuel slate is correct. Carlos Correa at 43.29, another excellent option, 273, 327, 388, a 100 WRC plus, 10 home runs on the board. Plenty of playability in Correa, who's consistently hits the ball hard, low strikeout, medium walk, a lot of high-quality contact. Jesus Sanchez has always hit the ball very hard, a lot of barrels, a lot of hard hits. The home run totals are weird for the contact that he makes, but he's always cheap. Comes with a lot of upside. Not that many strikeouts this year either. 26-1 last year, 26-6 the year before, down to 20.9. Jainer Diaz at 33.29, 18 home runs on the board. Weak season against expectations, but there are things to like. The low strikeout, low walk against all that premium contact. The 18 home runs that he's up to now. Yeah, the consistency's been missing all season long from where we expected the average and the on base to be, but a 332 xWOBA speaks to the ongoing quality of the player. That is an excellent option now that he's as cheap as he is a catcher. Victor Caratini gives you upside for power as well. 11 home runs, a 154 ISO, kind of in the middle, but that's taking advantage of the 331 opportunities he'd been given this year. Ramon Urias has power, 10 home runs and 358 chances. We've seen him hit for underappreciated down lineup power in the past. And Taylor Trammell is a interesting hitter across multiple categories. Over 112 plate appearances. He hasn't been anything special this year. Was not in 8 opportunities or 56 opportunities going back in time. This year in 117 back in 2022. Suffice to say, in the show so far, we haven't seen the talent come through. Maybe it never does. But 9.7% barrels in this limited opportunity is kind of interesting. 13.4% walks is kind of interesting. And he's been high walk in each of those stops. At those low prices, potential to contribute from down lineup at worst against a pitcher with a little bit of a walk issue. Yankees bats. Will Warren. Astros bats, Jason Alexander. Alexander's just at the wrong price. Wouldn't stun me if he succeeded today against the Yankees, though. Giants and Rockies both have their lineups in. Love it. Is everybody confirmed? Every lineup is confirmed on this slate, and we are more than an hour and a half out from start time. Fantastic. That was the Giants lineup. At least I was smart enough to paste it in there before copying the other one. There we go. All right, Robbie Ray at Coors Field. Who's feeling adventurous? 9,000, 9,900. Look, it's not bad pricing. Again, leads the slate in both projections and popularity elsewhere. Couple points lower projected around here. I think that's very realistic. This is a version of Robbie Ray that's pitched to a 3.18 ERA, but a 4.28 xFIP. 24.3% strikeout. Still a decent strikeout rate, but that's not exactly peak Robbie Ray. Comes with 9.5% walks. That is reminiscent of problematic Robbie Ray walk rate. Comes with 12.5% swinging strikes, but only a 26.8% CSW from time to time. Has issues finding the zone, or also throws pitches that are deliberately missing the zone, trying to induce swinging strikes and does not find them. But a strong strikeout pitcher when things are going right, and a guy going up against a free swinging lineup. That's where the upside is going to be created. Robbie Ray needs to go find some Ks today. He's also given up a 9% barrel, 44.3% hard hits, 91 miles an hour of exit velo. Pretty lucky to be sub 3% home runs, let alone sub 4. Last year, 4.65, but it was only in 7 starts. Year before only made 1 start, 3 1/3. But in a full season, when he was good, with better numbers in some departments than this year, 4.13% home runs. The power has always been a negative with Robbie Ray. The walks, the guys that he puts on base and works his way into jams, have always been problematic. Monster upside for sure. Again, could rip his way past all the top 3 guys above him on that board. But very, very real downside in Coors Field, even against this version of the Rockies. And then Armand Marquez on the other side, you really just don't want to play. 6.14 ERA, 5.06 xFIP. We talked about it at the beginning of the show, giving up plenty of barrels, too much hard hit, too much exit velo against a Giants team with just enough of all of that. It's not really a good lineup that I'm super confident in, but we've gone to them from time to time. They have some good power bats in the lineup. Willy Adames, after like mid-May, basically was Willy Adames again. Rafi Devers, up and down spots through the season, but he's up to 30 home runs. He's still carrying a 230 ISO. Still looks a lot like Rafi Devers. I just think there's too much going on, too much downside to even consider the dart at 5,000 on DraftKings. The times you're going to succeed with that are so few and far between that even though it's going to be super contrarian, even though it buys you things, unless it's really, really coming through whatever your process is, sims, sorts, whatever, in a big way, I just think there's too much downside that comes with it. If he was even finding his old, 19% strikeouts, I would maybe be advocating for it. Any case I tried to make would be entirely based on who he used to be like 3 years ago. And I don't think that's the right thing to do here. Excuse me. Going to the Giants bats, Elliot Ramos, top of the lineup, 46.5% hard hits, carrying a good slash line overall, getting on base at a 341 clip ahead of the big bats. Just a 138 ISO is down for him. He's hit 16 home runs, created runs at a good 112 clip. But last year he had a 200 ISO, hit 22 homers in 518 plate appearances. So we are well off pace overall in the total. More plate appearances, fewer home runs by a pretty wide margin. But he's doing interesting things out there. 7.6% walks against 22.8% hard hits, or 22.8% strikeouts, rather. What's his BABIP? He's got to be finding some success on just balls in play. Yeah, he is. 327 BABIP. That'll help. Yeah, a lot of well-struck balls, but given that it's not a super high walk or super low strikeout, he is definitely finding some success there from just where the balls in play have landed in terms of that on base. If you're trading extra base hits or base hits for power, maybe 5,000 doesn't exactly work price-wise. 3,200, he's more of a correlated scorer. But I believe the power is still in there. And against this pitcher in this ballpark, there's no reason to think that it wouldn't be. 7.73 in the home run model, I think, reflects all of that. Raffy at 57-36. If he's not the most popular hitter on the slate, I'd be stunned. 30 home runs at 230 ISO, a 140 WRC plus, 15.7% barrel, and 56.7% hard hits. Dude's still a monster. Draws a 15% walk rate. I don't think we need to overthink it in our giant stacks. Again, Willy Adames had that atrocious start to the year. But after, play on the 15th. Come on. Yeah, whatever. There it is. 224 ISO since May 16th. 233, 324, 457 slash line. You know, the slug is there. The on base with Willie at 324 is perfectly fine. Hit 21 of his home runs over that stretch and a 117 WRC plus. Again, that's since May 16th. He completely normalized his season back to expectation. 26 home runs total, a 109 WRC plus, still good 339 xWOBA that speaks to the quality under the surface, 197 ISO that should push up over 200 over time. Same ISO from Matt Chapman that should also push up over 200, over the last couple of weeks here. 18 home runs, it'd be nice to get him over 22, somewhere that territory. 10.4% barrel, 48.1% hard hit. Stretch here in Coors Field could help the numbers for both of those hard-hitting right-handed bats. Wilmer Flores, 42-27. Mix and match. Coors Field certainly helps Wilmer a little bit. Some balls in play. He's hit 15 home runs. Just mediocre overall as far as the slash line. Just a 282 xWOBA. Not a great player, not even a good player necessarily, but low strikeout, medium walk. Finds success from time to time. Key part of this lineup. Drew Gilbert's kind of interesting at just 32-28. Solid 46 plate appearances, pair of home runs so far, a 239 ISO, and some interesting numbers. Casey Schmidt, 39-25, mix and match quality. Luis Matos has a little bit of pop in the bat in the 8 spot. 8 home runs in just 165 plate appearances, a 224 ISO. Kind of speaks for itself. And then Patty Bailey's a mix and match catcher in any ballpark. And then the always interesting Rockies bats. If we're looking to exploit the downside of Robbie Ray, I think we at least need to talk Rockies a little bit. 293, 369, 379 from Tyler Freeman this season. Just 10.7% walks and 9%, or 10.7% strikeout, 9% walk. I don't know why I keep reversing those. Tell me that's not the ideal guy to start things off to throw at Robbie Ray. Given that he's not going to fall for the swinging strike, it's pretty likely to draw a walk to set the table here in his first plate appearance. You get a lot of premium contact upside at Ezequiel Tovar in the next spot, 9.9% barrels. Cut strikeout, that number's still pretty significant dip in his strikeout rate. 8 home runs in 300 plate appearances is off pace from what we saw from him last year, a 168 ISO, same thing. But a 341 xWOBA to speak to the quality under the surface here. That's a better player than he looks like, and he's very cheap for Coors Field at 3,900, 2,800. He had 26 home runs last year. Hunter Goodman, 5,000, 3,100, has 27 homers. Good spot in their lineup. Jordan Beck, 4,000, 2,600, 14 homers, 14 steals. Brenton Doyle, 14 homers, 15 steals. Between the two, you're getting more consistency out of Jordan Beck, but Brenton Doyle's been hitting the ball consistently harder. 11.9% barrel, 45.6% hard hit versus 9.6 and 39%. It's just results-wise that Beck has actually been more consistent. 99 WRC plus versus 76 WRC plus. But between the two, Doyle's got the higher xWOBA. And between the two, Doyle's the one with an average xWOBA. Beck is actually a little substandard. Both guys very playable. And again, very cheap pricing. The Rockies are super affordable for a team with a 4.88 implied total today. Warming Bernabel, 36-23. He's hit 4 home runs and 120 chances, a 183 ISO in his first opportunity in the show. More to the point, 16.7% strikeout. Pretty good limiter of strikeout rate. They'll need that today. Just 4.2% walk, and outside of maybe Tyler Freeman at the top, nobody is particularly good. Kyle Karros down here so far is also decent at it, but a lot through the middle, low walk rate. So it would need to be an exception for them to really, really exploit the high walk rate from Robbie Ray. But there is a give and take between, them facing pitchers who are good at limiting walks versus them facing pitchers for whom walks are a problem, like Robbie Ray. This is going to really come down to whether they can lay off a couple of those pitches outside of the zone. Braxton Fulford. Sounds like he's just straight out of the Phi Beta fraternity. And was that what it was? What was the fraternity, the jock fraternity in Revenge of the Nerds? Alpha Beta. Alpha Beta. That is a name right out of that fraternity. 3,300, 2,300. 1 home run, 1 stolen base, 60 WRC plus. A lot of meh going on down there. But 6.9% barrel, 44.8% hard hit. When he's made contact, it hasn't been terrible. I'd much rather have Hunter Goodman. But if I want to save a little bit of money and get crazy different at Coors Field, Fulford's on the board. Kyle Karros is on the board. 87 okay plate appearances. 9.2% walk is good. 234, 310, 312, not so good. 64 WRC plus, not so good. Hasn't made good contact. But the 9.2% walk is interesting, demonstrating a little bit of patience, not getting lost and flailing up there. Just getting some bat on ball at Coors Field can go a long way. 30% strikeouts, more problematic at a Ryan Ritter, considering the lack of premium contact, the 4.4% walks. He's come away at 255, 301, 366, which in some ways would look better. But between the two, I'm more interested in Kyle Karros against this pitcher. That said, both guys are low-end options. They're just cheap. They're the bottom of the Rockies lineup for a reason. This goes Giants bats, Rockies bats, Robbie Ray, but it really goes Giants bats, Robbie Ray, or probably Robbie Ray, Giants bats, if we're considering the ownership of the Giants. Any way you slice it, anything up here is fine. The Rockies bats against, especially with all that popularity. If RG is right about Robbie Ray's popularity, it makes me more interested in Rockies bats. But I think we get that same opportunity to kind of target the Ryan Bergert spot with probably a better team. Right? Give me some of these Angels bats, some of that upside. No Mike Trout obviously sucks. It's actually lower end now that I'm looking at it again. Like, yeah, these top 4 is who I want, and then some Ohapi down here. But given that we've got this 4-man group in here, they went pretty ugly on us. I'd say that knocks the Angels down a little bit and improves the Bergert option while still being threatened by all this major power for the other 5 hitters in the lineup. Again, not sold. Not sold on Mr. Bergert. One last look at the pitching board before we get out of here so I can go update those projections and finally build lineups. I've been talking for way too long about an 8-gamer. Curbs, love it. Fire away. The only thing working against them, the ballpark, a little bit of the low strikeout table setter with Chandler Simpson leading into the power bats. But it's mostly about the ballpark downside. George Kirby, easily the most talented guy on this slate. Willie Warren, as mentioned, don't love those projections. Don't love calling him that as the median. But a capable guy. It's going to really come down to what his opportunity looks like if he's pitching well to get through that 6th inning. That's going to be where the projection breaks, lives or dies. Zebby, plenty of upside from there on the strikeout opportunity. Needs to keep the home run in check. Needs to keep the power against in check from that frisky White Sox lineup. Like it better at 82 than at 93 on FanDuel. Robbie Ray, we literally just talked about, but again, could rocket past everybody above him on the board. Could be the key play. No, I don't want to move it. Could be the key play of the slate on the mound, and I'm not saying he's not, but I am saying that I've never, ever trusted him, and he's got plenty of downside on a lot of slates out there over time. Jeffrey Springs, 77-73 with plenty of strikeout in that Cardinals lineup. I am hoping sneaks through a little bit underowned. He's like 6th or 7th highest owned on DraftKings. I assume pretty similar on FanDuel. I like that option. Maybe we get burnt by a, at best, mediocre pitcher. He's not that good. But there are so many strikeouts there, and he misses bats. And that's not a big-time upside opponent. Just for the price break, I'm intrigued. Nola's playable against a Milwaukee lineup lacking Jackson Churio, especially at 77 on DK. Again, really all I care about with Nola is the fact that he's capable of pitching 6 innings, which he's shown us in the last 2 starts. Liberatore, pretty low end, low strikeout, but maybe you get through against the A's, but probably not. Bergert, we talked through. Definitely upside at 81-75. Needs to find some strikeout along the way, but I consider that a very high danger spot, even with this weird version of the Angels lineup. Jose Quintana, I'm just looking to target with Phillies bats. Cade Horton could definitely get through, but the price is at 83-85. I don't love. And again, the Braves are showing a little bit on the other side today. Elder against the Cubs, nothing but downside. Jason Alexander against the Yanks. Showed it a couple starts ago, but at those prices, do you really want to take on the Yankees on this board at those prices? When he probably just had a lucky day the last time out. Yeah, he's had a few good ones through the season, but I don't know. I don't think it's real. Hauser's a no against Seattle. Caden Dana's a no, and we're definitely using KC bats against Caden Dana and all his home run problems. And then Joe Andres Gomez and Herman Marquez definitely knows. I think your reasonable plays probably end at Elder, and that's probably not all that reasonable. Probably really end at Horton. It's a short pitching slate, but you do have a lot of opportunity for price breaks. Even if you're considering these 2 guys, if you're looking at them as SP1s and you're putting them together with these guys, those are cheap combinations. 73, 8,000. That works. 76.50 a piece, 15.3 total from my pitching. That comes with tons of baggage, sure. So does everybody on the slate. Even Kirby pitching in that ballpark has at least one. This could go against him. Many of the other guys have way more than one. Not a pretty slate. Should be a fun one. I like the way these kinds of slates break down. A lot of ways to target it, to attack it. Kansas City bats should go off in a big way tonight, though, if you're just hunting. Jack Caglianone, the home run pick of the day. Really, really like the Royals. On FanDuel, anyway, really like the way they stack together with the Yankees. As mentioned, a lot of infielders on that team that you want. A lot of very usable infielders on the Yankees as well, but also a bunch of good outfield options. That's where some of their best bats fit. So those 2 teams fit together nicely. Anyway, one last time, guys, scrolling across the bottom of the screen, promo code KICKOFF over at rotoscouts gets you a $15 month, 33% off, 50 cents a day. So go check that out. That gets you baseball and football. Football projections, main slate Sunday, going to be up tonight at some point. Don't look for them at like 9 p.m. on me. That's going to be like an overnight tonight thing. They're done, but I need to go through them again, check the depth chart announcements and so on and so forth, and get a good version posted that's fully up to speed for Wednesday night. That'll be our starting point. I'll get initial rankings posted. I'll get Thursday football projections posted. We will have Friday football projections because there's a stupid Friday night game this week. What's it? Is that on some dumbass streaming service? Am I going to have to find that game? I hate that. But we'll have that game. We'll be talking football on shows. I don't know when during the day over the next few days they will land. But keep your eye out because they will happen. We'll be here. We'll talk through all things football. Monster opportunities in week 1, obviously. Love some of the upside spots we're going to be talking through. I'm going to try and find a way tomorrow to do a quarterbacks and stacks framework for the main slate type show. No promises. I'm behind because of these last couple of days on getting notes and stuff together for week 1. I'm ahead on projections, but behind on notes. We'll see where it lands show-wise. That's why you got to subscribe. That's why you got to follow the @rotoscouts Twitter handle so you know what's going on with all the chaos from this one-man operation. Check things out, guys. Really appreciate every single one of you on your way out the door. Hit the little thumbs up down there for me. Subscribe to the channel. Oh, and I forgot to mention, YouTube rolled out some stupid new feature. Hype. I think that's what it's called. If you see an option down there to hype this video, hype it. I don't know what that actually does. If it costs you money, please, I'm not asking you to go do that. But assuming it's just a free click, hype the video. I think that just helps with the algorithm. It feeds, like the idea is it helps with smaller shows and smaller channels getting opportunity. So if you could do that for me, I really appreciate it. You guys, best audience in the industry. Absolutely love every single one of you. Good luck out there tonight. Somebody go win something. Share those results when you do @rotoscouts on Twitter. Free Discord linked in the description for this video down there. I will see you tomorrow for a ton of content, guys. Later.